I've signed the divorce papers. Your mission is more important. I tossed the pen aside, staring at the man whose face was as handsome as ever. Gu Jingshan. This time I won't spend another 3 years as your grieving widow. I had been reborn back to 1978, just 6 months after marrying this young military commander. In my past life, he had demanded a fake divorce for an undercover mission. I had begged him through tears not to go. The result, I endured 3 years of lonely widowhood while he thrived out in the world. By the time he returned, I had already lost my mind. This life, the moment the divorce certificate is stamped, I'm turning around to sign up for a teaching post in the remote borderlands. 1. Suwon, we need to get a divorce. Gu Jingshan stood before me, his military uniform impeccably pressed, his expression as grave as if he were marching into battle. I was hanging laundry in the yard when I heard those words. My hand trembled, and the olive-drab shirt fell to the ground. What did you say? I turned to look at him, feigning shock. Truth be told, I'd been waiting for this day all along. October 15, 1978. It had been exactly 3 months since my rebirth, and every single day I had waited for him to utter those words. On this day in my previous life, he stood in the courtyard just like this and told me the news. Back then, I cried my eyes out and begged him not to leave me, kneeling on the ground. So what happened? He still left, claiming it was a fake divorce arranged by the organization, asking me to wait for him for 3 years. I waited like a fool for 3 years, rejecting all suitors, turning down the job my father introduced me to, and refusing my mother's suggestion to remarry. 3 years later when he returned, I had already gone mad because I accidentally overheard his comrade's wife saying on the street that Gu Jingshan had already found a new love and had a child elsewhere. The woman said, "Sister Wan is really pitiful, still waiting foolishly at home." At that time, I fainted right on the street and started acting crazy. After waking up later, he came back to see me, but I no longer recognized him. Wan, listen to me. Gu Jingshan approached me with a frown, his voice filled with a tenderness he had never shown before. I took a step back, dusted off my hands, and said, "No need to explain, I agree." He froze, a flicker of disbelief crossing his deep eyes. "You agree? Yeah, a fake divorce, I get it," I said with a particularly bright smile. "The organization's mission is important, our little family matters are nothing." Gu Jingshan's expression changed slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but eventually, he nodded. Wan, as long as you really understand, this mission might take 3 years. 3 years, I feigned surprise. That long? Inside, I was coldly laughing. You said the same thing in my previous life. Yes. This mission is a bit unusual. He began explaining something about a secret task and not being able to reveal our identities. As I listened, I kept repeating in my head, liar, a complete liar, the biggest liar in the whole world. Alright, I get it, I cut him off. Let's go take care of the paperwork tomorrow. The sooner, the better. Gu Jingshan was taken aback again. You're not upset, sad. In my past life, I was utterly heartbroken and miserable, and what did it get me? It got me 3 years of lonely waiting, a descent into madness for the rest of my life. And his happy life with another woman, what's there to be sad about? I shrugged. It's all fake anyway, not a real divorce. What about you in these 3 years? These 3 years for me? I tilted my head and thought, I want to go teach in a rural area. I heard they are in great need of teachers in the border regions. Gu Jingshan's face immediately turned grim. Teach in a rural area, the border regions, the conditions there are very harsh. What's there to be afraid of? I'm not some delicate girl, I said nonchalantly. Besides, you're dedicating 3 years to a national mission, so why can't I contribute 3 years to the cause of education? He opened his mouth as if to object, but couldn't find a suitable reason. After all, he had just been lecturing me about righteousness and how important national missions were. Wan, let's discuss this again. There's nothing to discuss. I turned back to hang the clothes. It's settled, I'll handle the paperwork tomorrow and sign up for the teaching program the day after. Gu Jingshan stood behind me. I could feel the weight of his complicated gaze. After a long pause, he finally spoke. I thought you would cry. I cried enough in my past life. In this one, I won't shed a single tear for him. What are you crying for? I turned and smiled at him. It's not like you're really leaving me. That just made him fall even more silent. If he knew I had been reborn, if he knew I was aware of what he was planning, I wonder what his expression would be. During dinner, Gu Jingshan was completely distracted. I ate particularly well and even took the initiative to serve him some food. Come on, eat more. No one will cook for you after we get divorced tomorrow. He put down his chopsticks and looked at me. Wan, you're acting very strange today. What's strange about it? You're too calm. I swallowed the food in my mouth and looked at him seriously. Gu Jingshan, do you expect me to throw a fit and beg you not to go on this mission? No, then that settles it, I said, continuing to eat. Suwon, may just be a primary school teacher, but I understand what it means to prioritize the greater good. Gu Jingshan was silent for a long time. In the end, he only said one thing: I'm sorry. Sorry. He had never said these 3 words in his previous life. He just coldly told me it was an organizational arrangement, and I had no say in it. My chopsticks paused as a complex wave of emotion surged within me, but I quickly pushed that feeling down. I didn't get a second chance at life just to repeat my mistakes, much less to try and change him. I'm here to live for myself. No need for apologies, I said, looking up at him. We were husband and wife. I understand. Gu Jingshan's expression grew even more complicated. After dinner, I started packing my luggage. Gu Jingshan leaned against the doorframe and looked at me. Why are you packing so many clothes? For the teaching program. I didn't look up. The frontier climate is harsh, so I need to bring more warm clothes. Are you really determined to go? Of course. I folded a sweater and put it in the suitcase. Anyway, I'd be alone at home, so it's better to do something meaningful. He came over to help, but I waved him off. No need, I can manage on my own. Won, you should get some rest. We have to get up early for the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. I cut him off and went back to packing. Deep down, I knew exactly what he wanted to say. It was nothing but empty comfort, promises that he'd come back for me in 3 years. That this separation was only temporary. I believed it in my past life. In this one, I won't believe a single word of it. Gu Jingshan stood at the door for a long time before finally leaving. I smelled cigarette smoke coming from his room. He rarely smoked, only when he was extremely agitated. Agitated in his previous life. He wasn't agitated at all. He was more likely to be excited. After all, he could finally get rid of his nagging wife at home and pursue his long-lost love. I lay in the dark, my eyes wide open, my mind filled with memories of my past life. When he returned 3 years later, I was already insane, but occasionally I would still have moments of clarity. During those lucid moments, I heard many stories about what he had done over the past 3 years. All those undercover missions were fake. He did go on a mission, but it only lasted a year. The remaining 2 years, he lived in a small city in the south with his first love, leading a blissful life. His first love was named Lin Yuyan, a doctor. It was said that she was exceptionally beautiful and had a gentle and kind personality. They were supposed to get married, but because Lin Yuyan's father opposed it, she was forced to marry someone else. After that man died, Lin Yuyan was widowed, and Gu Jingshan seized the opportunity of this mission to go find her. They lived together for 2 years and even had a son. 3 years later, the organization wanted to recall him. Lin Yuyan refused to follow him north, and he couldn't bear to leave the child, so he stayed on there for another half a year. By the time he returned, I had already completely lost my mind. Later, he married the daughter of a military district commander. That woman was utterly disrespectful to me, his ex-wife, and would often flaunt her loving relationship with Gu Jingshan right in front of me. I lived a deranged life until I was 35. When I was struck and killed by a military vehicle on a rainy night, the driver claimed poor visibility, but I knew it was no accident. After being reborn and returning, I finally understood. The owner of that vehicle was Gu Jingshan's current wife. She thinks this crazy woman, me, is ruining her reputation. So at that thought, my fists clenched involuntarily. I will never, ever make the same mistake again in this lifetime. Too. Gu Jingshan was up bright and early the next morning. I woke up early too. Having barely slept a wink, he was bustling about in the kitchen. When I went over, I saw he was actually making breakfast for me. You're up so early, I feigned surprise. I want to make you a meal, he said without looking up. It might be a long time before you get to have one again. Watching his busy figure from behind, a pang of sorrow welled up in my heart. On the morning of our divorce in my past life, he did nothing at all, not even offering a single word of comfort. Why is it different this time around? No need to be so formal, I said, taking a seat at the table. It's not like we're parting ways forever. Gu Jingshan's hand paused for a moment before he resumed frying the egg. Yeah, it's only temporary. His voice sounded a little strained. Breakfast was plentiful, with fried eggs, congee, and my favorite pickled vegetables. I was eating with great relish, but Gu Jingshan kept watching me. Why aren't you eating? I looked up and asked him. Not hungry. That won't do. We still have to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau later. How can we handle the paperwork without eating? Enough, I said it lightly on purpose. Gu Jingshan gave a wry smile. You're taking it pretty well. What else can I do if I don't let it go? I shrugged. Crying and whining would only make you feel awkward. What good would that do? He fell silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, Wan, Do you hate me? Hate, absolutely. For those 3 years in my past life, I hated you every single night. I hated your heartlessness, your deceit, and the fact that after 3 years of waiting, all I got was news of another woman's child. But now, I don't want to waste any more time on these feelings. Why would I hate you? I smiled. You're also caught in a difficult situation. Gu Jingshan's eyes grew even more complicated. Do you really think so? Of course. I wiped my mouth. Alright, we're done eating, let's go. The Civil Affairs Bureau is not far from our home, it's a 10-minute walk on the way. Gu Jingshan kept trying to find topics to chat with me, but I just gave perfunctory replies. I wonder what state I was in at this time in my previous life. Oh, I was crying the whole time, walking and crying, which made him extremely annoyed. Finally, he snapped, "Are you done crying? Isn't it embarrassing?" Back then, I thought he was in a bad mood because we were about to part ways. Now I realize he was just annoyed by me. After all, he was thinking about the imminent meeting with his white moonlight, and my tearful presence as the yellow-faced wife was indeed quite a mood killer. We're here. Gu Jingshan's voice pulled me back to reality. There were already quite a few people queuing at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. We took a number and sat down to wait. Are you nervous? Gu Jingshan suddenly asked me. Not at all, I said, looking at the number in my hand. What's there to be nervous about? You're really not nervous at all. He seemed skeptical. What about you? I asked in return. Are you nervous? Gu Jingshan was silent for a moment. A little. I almost laughed out loud. In my past life, he was downright excited, not a trace of nervousness in sight. So why the act now? It's okay, just think of it as acting on behalf of the organization. I patted his shoulder. Once it's over, you'll be free. His body noticeably stiffened. Suwan, Gu Jingshan, it's your turn, the staff member called out. We stood up and walked towards the service window. What kind of service are you here for? The staff member asked. Divorce, I replied before Gu Jingshan could speak. The staff member looked at us. Are you sure? You both look so young. Is there no issue that can be resolved through discussion? No problem, we've discussed it. We're incompatible in personality and are parting amicably, I said with a smile. Gu Jingshan quietly watched me from the side, not saying a word. The staff tried to persuade us a few more times, but seeing our firm attitude, they had no choice but to start the procedures. We need to fill out the divorce agreement. How should the property be divided? I don't want anything, I said decisively. The house is his, the savings are his, I'll just take my own things. The staff member looked surprised. Are you sure you don't want it? Maybe you should discuss it a bit more. No need to discuss, I said with a wave of my hand. What would a girl like me do with all that property anyway? Gu Jingshan finally spoke up. Wan, you could take half of the house. No, thanks, I said without looking up. I'm leaving soon to teach in a rural school. What would I need a house for? That savings, I have my salary, it's enough. The staff looked at us, probably thinking we were an odd couple. Most divorces involve shouting and arguing, fighting over property and children, but she probably hasn't seen one as peaceful as ours. Who gets custody of the children? The official pressed on. We don't have any children, I replied. In my past life, I had actually been pregnant once, but I miscarried at 3 months. Gu Jingshan had already left by then. I lay in the hospital alone for 3 days, without a single person to look after me. Alright, that makes it simple. The staff member started filling out the form. Half an hour later, all the procedures were completed. Holding that divorce certificate, I felt an indescribable mix of emotions. The last time I held this paper, I cried until my eyes were swollen. In this lifetime, I feel nothing at all. If anything, there's even a sense of relief. Let's go. I put the divorce certificate in my bag. I have a train to catch. What? You're leaving today? Gu Jingshan was stunned. Yeah, I bought the tickets last night. I glanced at my watch. The train at 2 p.m. Perfect timing. Gu Jingshan's face turned grim. Why didn't you tell me earlier? What difference would it make if I told you? I retorted. Aren't you leaving right away too? He opened his mouth as if to argue, but in the end, he said nothing. I was right. He really was about to leave too. I'll take you to the train station, he said. No need, I can get there myself, I said, waving my hand. Don't you have things to take care of? Wan, he called out to stop me. If anything comes up, remember to write to me. Writing letters. In my previous life, I wrote you countless letters, but how many did you reply to? Over 3 years, you replied to less than 10 letters in total, and each one was just a formal greeting, not a single word expressing any thought of me. Okay, sure. I nodded perfunctorily. We said our goodbyes outside the Civil Affairs Bureau. Gu Jingshan stood there, watching me walk away, his gaze as heavy and complex as a stormy sky. I didn't look back. My steps were light, almost as if I could fly free at last, finally free for the rest of my life. I will never live like a widow for any man again. Back home, I quickly grabbed my luggage and headed straight to the train station. Sitting on the train, watching the scenery outside flash by, I felt an excitement I had never experienced before in my past life. I cried at home for 3 days and 3 nights, nearly weeping my eyes blind. In this life, I'm on a train, munching on sunflower seeds and planning my new future. Teaching in the borderlands is just the first step. I have many more things to accomplish. For instance, I'll leverage my rebirth advantage to start some small businesses and make money. For instance, riding the wave of reform and opening up to start a business. For instance, finding the right person who truly loves me and settling down when the time is right. In short, this life, I'm going to live for myself, and as for Gu Jingshan, he can go wherever he pleases and be with whomever he wants. It's none of my business. The train headed west, carrying me toward my new life. Leaning against the window, I watched the sunset, a smile curling at the corner of my mouth. Goodbye, Gu Jingshan. In this life, our paths shall never cross again. 3. After the train had raced across the Gobi Desert for a full day and night, I finally reached my destination, a small county town in Xinjiang. Stepping off the train, I was met with a sky full of swirling yellow sand and the scorching heat of the sun. Professor Su, Professor Su, a middle-aged man in a gray mouse suit was holding up a sign. Searching through the crowd, spotting me, he hurried over. You must be Professor Su Wan. I'm Director Zhang from the County Education Bureau, he said warmly, shaking my hand. You've had a long journey. Was the trip smooth? It was fine, I replied with a smile. Thank you for meeting me, Director Zhang. No trouble at all. Director Zhang waved his hands repeatedly. We're thrilled that a college student like you is willing to come here for teaching assistance. He helped me with my luggage and, as we walked, introduced the situation. The conditions in our county are quite tough, so you should be mentally prepared. However, the teachers are very friendly, and the children are especially well behaved. I nodded. I've already prepared myself. Director Zhang arranged for me to stay at the county guest house. What they called a guest house was actually just a few simple bungalows, and the conditions were indeed very basic. But for someone like me who's been reborn, none of this is a big deal. In my previous life, during those years I was out of my mind. I've lived in far worse places. Professor Su, please get some rest first. I'll take you to see the school tomorrow, Director Zhang said before leaving. Sitting on the hard bed and looking at the sparse furnishings in the room, I felt surprisingly content. No one knows me here. No one knows my past. I can make a completely fresh start. In the evening, I had a simple dinner in the guest house's small canteen and met a few other teachers who had also come to volunteer. They were all recent university graduates, full of ideals and enthusiasm. Teacher Su, I heard you're from Beijing, asked a young male teacher named Li Ming. Well, yes, what made you decide to come here to teach? Beijing is such a great place. I thought about it. I want to change my environment and experience a different way of life. You're so brave. A female teacher named Xiao Wang looked at me admiringly. I wouldn't dare to come so far alone. Why wouldn't I dare? I smiled. Life is all about new experiences. After dinner, I returned to my room and began writing in my journal. This was a new habit I'd developed since my rebirth. Recording each day's life as a reminder to live for myself. October 16, 1978, arrived in Xinjiang to begin a new life. Mood, an unprecedented sense of ease and freedom. After finishing my diary, I lay in bed, thinking about tomorrow's plans. Just then, I heard someone knocking on the door. Who is it? I got up to open the door. A young man in military uniform stood outside, probably in his late 20s, very handsome but with a serious expression. Excuse me, are you Ms. Su Wan? He asked. Yes, I am, and you are? My name is Lin Mo. I'm the company commander of the local garrison. He introduced himself. We heard a new teacher had come to volunteer. Our unit would like to establish a partnership with the school, so I came to pay a visit. I nodded. I see. Please, come in. Lin Mo walked into the room, glanced around the simple surroundings, and frowned. The conditions are so harsh. Is it safe for you, a young woman, to live here? It's okay. I poured him a glass of water and said, I'm not a spoiled girl. I can handle this much hardship. Lin Mo took the glass of water, looked at me earnestly, and said, Teacher Su, I heard from Director Zhang that you volunteered to come here for teaching. Yes, why? He asked directly. With your qualifications, you should have better opportunities in Beijing. I looked into his eyes. The man's gaze was clean, free of that uncomfortable probing curiosity. I want to do something meaningful, I said honestly. In big cities, I always feel like an extra person. Lin Mo nodded thoughtfully. I understand that feeling. You felt that way too. Yes, he put down his water glass. I could have worked in the military district office, but I chose to come to the frontier. Why? Because I'm needed here. His eyes were firm. In the office, I'm just a small cog, but here, I can make a greater impact. I couldn't help but steal a few more glances at him. There was a certain purity about this man, something quite different from Gu Jingshan. Gu Jingshan always gave the impression he was calculating something, whereas Lin Mo came across as open and sincere. Professor Su, if you run into any trouble here, please don't hesitate to find me. Lin Mo stood up, preparing to leave. Our garrison is located 10 kilometers outside the county town. Thank you, I said as I walked him to the door. But I think I can manage on my own. Lin Mo stopped and turned to look at me. Professor Su, you seem very strong, but being alone in a foreign place is never easy. Please, if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. After he left, I closed the door, feeling a strange sensation in my heart. This Lin Mo, he left a very good impression on me, but right now, I don't want to think about romance. I just want to live for myself for once. The next morning, Director Zhang took me to the school. The school was just a few adobe houses, and the conditions were indeed very basic, but the children's eyes were clear, filled with a thirst for knowledge. Hello, teacher. As I walked in, the children greeted me in unison, their voices booming loud enough to raise the roof. Hello, class, I replied with a smile. I'm your new Chinese teacher. My name is Su Wan. Teacher Su. A little girl with pigtails raised her hand. Are you from Beijing? Yes, I am. Is Beijing very big and bustling? Another boy asked. It's very big and bustling, I said, looking into their expectant eyes. But there's also beauty here. Blue skies, white clouds, fresh air, and you lovely kids. The children all burst into laughter. In the following days, I quickly adapted to life here. I teach the children during the day, and in the evenings, I prepare lessons or read, occasionally chatting with other teachers. Life is simple and fulfilling, free from office politics, deceit, and the complications of romantic entanglements. I feel a sense of inner peace I've never known before. A week later, Lin Mo came again. This time he brought some stationery and books, saying they were donated by the military unit to the school. Captain Lin, thank you so much, Director. Zhang gripped his hand tightly, unable to let go. These things are so precious to the children, it's the least we can do, Lin Mo said with a smile. Education is the foundation of the nation, and it's our duty as soldiers to support the cause of education. After distributing the items, Lin Mo found me. How are you adjusting, Teacher Su? Great, I replied sincerely. The kids here are adorable, and my colleagues are very easy to get along with. That's good to hear. He seemed relieved. I was worried you might not adjust well. Not at all. I like it here more than I expected. Lin Mo's eyes flashed with surprise. Really, really, I smiled. This place has given me a sense of purpose. As we walked through the school, Lin Mo suddenly asked, Teacher Su, are you married? I paused for a moment, then shook my head. No, although I'm divorced. In this day and age, a divorced woman is often judged. I don't want to bring trouble upon myself. Do you have a boyfriend? He continued to ask. No, I don't. I looked at him. Why are you asking that all of a sudden? Lin Mo's face turned a bit red. It's nothing, just curious. A girl as outstanding as you should be quite popular. I smiled. Maybe the right time hasn't come yet. Lin Mo nodded and said nothing more, but I could feel that he had a crush on me. However, I really don't want to think about emotional issues right now. I just want to enjoy this carefree life. In the evening, I wrote in my diary as usual. October 23, 1978. I've been living here for a week now, and I'm growing to love this simple life more and more. Commander Lin came by again today, and I feel like he's paying me some special attention, but I don't want to think about that right now. I just want to live my own life and not for anyone else. For the days go by, and I'm living a peaceful life in this small town. The children love my classes, and I'm growing to love teaching more and more, seeing their eager eyes yearning for knowledge. Every day, I feel what I do is truly meaningful. This sense of fulfillment is something I've never experienced in Beijing. Lin Mo comes to the school every now and then, ostensibly for military-civilian cooperation, but I know he's really coming to see me. But he's very considerate and never makes me feel disturbed. Sometimes he'd bring some school supplies, other times he'd help fix the desks and chairs, and sometimes he'd just stop by for a brief chat before leaving. The other teachers were all quite envious, saying how lucky I was to have such a good friend looking out for me. Ms. Su, Captain Lin is so good to you. Teacher Wang would always say, just look at the way he looks at you. It's obvious he likes you. I would always just smile and not reply. It's not that I don't feel Lin Mo's intentions, but I really don't want to get into a relationship right now. My past experiences have made me lose trust in men. And even though Lin Mo seems great, I dare not trust him easily. Moreover, I haven't fully emerged from the shadows of my past life. A month later, I received the first letter from Beijing. The letter is from my mom. Wan, why did you suddenly go so far away? The family is very worried about you. What exactly is going on between you and Xiaogu? His mom has come to our house several times, saying that you two are divorced. Is that true? Seeing this letter, I feel a mix of emotions. After Gu Jingshan left in my previous life, I also received similar letters, but back then, I was constantly crying and had no mood to reply. In this lifetime, I owe my family an explanation. I picked up my pen to write a reply. Mom, Gu Jingshan and I really are divorced, but it's not because our relationship fell apart, it's because of his work. He's been assigned a mission, and it's not convenient for him to have family with him. We've discussed it and agreed to remarry once his assignment is over. I came here to teach to better myself as well. Please don't worry about me, I'm doing just fine here. This letter is a mix of truth and lies. But it's the best explanation I can give for now. I can't tell my family the truth, because they wouldn't understand. In their eyes, a woman's place is at home, tending to her husband and children, not running off to the frontier to suffer hardships. After finishing the letter, I went to the post office to mail it. On the way back, I ran into Lin Mo. Teacher Sue, did you go to the post office? He asked. Yes. I was writing a letter home. Your family must be worried about you, right? A little. I looked at him. What about you? Does your family support you working in the border region? Lin Mo smiled. Both my parents passed away. I have no family left. I was taken aback. I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's okay. He waved it off. It was a long time ago. I joined the army at 18, and it became my home. Watching his calm demeanor, I felt an indescribable emotion welling up inside me. This man is also lonely, but he chooses to fill his life with responsibility and mission. Teacher Sue, it's the weekend today. Do you have time? Lin Mo suddenly asked. What's up? I want to take you to a place, a very beautiful place. I hesitated for a moment. What place? The Euphrates poplar forest. It's the most beautiful time of year right now. His eyes lit up. If you don't mind. Looking at his hopeful expression, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. All right, but not too far. It's not far. Just 20 kilometers west of the county town. Early the next morning, Lin Mo came to pick me up in a military jeep. Hold on, the road is a bit bumpy, he reminded me. The car drove out of the county town and raced across the Gobi Desert. On both sides stretched endless desert, distant mountains like ink, and a sky as blue as a washed canvas. You'd never see a sight like this in Beijing. Half an hour later, we arrived at our destination. The sight before me took my breath away. Vast stretches of golden Euphratica poplar forest shimmered in the sunlight, like nature's own palette. Beautiful, Lin Mo asked me. Absolutely stunning, I couldn't help but exclaim. Even more beautiful than I imagined. The first time I saw this place, I felt the same way, Lin Mo said as we walked side by side through the poplar forest. Back then, I had just arrived in the frontier area and was feeling really down. Seeing this poplar forest suddenly made me feel better. Why were you feeling down? Because I left the familiar environment and came to a strange place. I felt lonely. He looked into the distance, but seeing these poplars, I suddenly understood a truth. What truth? Poplars can survive in such harsh conditions and thrive so brilliantly, which shows how resilient life is. As long as you have enough willpower, you can live a wonderful life anywhere. I looked at him, feeling somewhat moved. This man has a noble and far-reaching spirit, not driven by worldly ambition like Gu Jingshan. Professor Sue, did you come to the borderlands with something weighing on your heart? Lin Mo suddenly asked. I was taken aback. Why do you ask? Because I sense a quiet sorrow about you. You're always smiling, but sometimes your eyes betray a hint of, how should I put it, a look of someone who's been hurt. His observation skills are truly sharp. I was silent for a moment, then said, everyone has a past, don't they? Yes, Lin Mo nodded, but let the past be the past. What matters is the present and the future. You're right. I took a deep breath. I came here to start over. Have you found the fresh start you were looking for? I looked at the golden poplar forest in front of me, feeling a sense of peace I had never experienced before. I think I have. We spent the entire morning in the poplar forest. Lin Mo was very talkative, and we chatted about light and easy topics. He told me about the local customs and culture, about military life, and about his ideas for the construction of the frontier. I realized this man was a thinker, not just a soldier who blindly follows orders. He had his own thoughts, his own aspirations, and a clear plan for his life. Professor Sue, what are your plans for the future? Lin Mo asked me over lunch. I haven't thought that far ahead, I said honestly. Right now, I'm focused on doing a good job with this teaching assignment. Will you stay here forever? I don't know. I shook my head. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Lin Mo nodded and didn't ask further, but I could sense that he hoped I would stay on the way back. I kept thinking about what Lin Mo had said. He's right, let the past be the past, what matters is now and the future. Isn't that why I came here? To start over. If that's the case, why let the shadows of the past hold me back? Perhaps I should truly let go of the hatred from my past life and start anew. But can I really let it go? The agony of those 3 years, the despair of betrayal, that feeling of being worse than dead. I closed my eyes, trying hard not to recall those terrible memories. Lin Mo seemed to sense the shift in my mood. He slowed the car and asked gently, "Are you all right, Professor Su?" "I'm fine," I said, opening my eyes and forcing a smile. "If something's troubling you, you can tell me," he said, looking at me earnestly. "I might not be able to solve it, but I can at least be a good listener." Looking into his sincere eyes, a wave of warmth washed over me. This man is truly wonderful. So wonderful that he almost makes me forget the pain Gu Jingshan caused me. However, I can't rush into a new relationship so quickly. I need time to heal, and I need time to learn to believe in love again. 5. After returning to the county, my life returned to calm, but my state of mind had subtly changed. Lin Mo's words kept echoing in my ears. Let the past be the past. What matters are the present and the future. Maybe he's right. I shouldn't dwell on hatred. A month later, another letter arrived for me. This one was from Gu Jingshan. The sight of his handwriting made my heart skip a beat. In my past life, he had written to me too. But those letters were always perfunctory greetings, devoid of any real feeling. I opened the envelope to find just a few short lines. 1. How are you? I heard you went to Xinjiang to teach. Conditions there must be tough, so please take good care of yourself. Everything is fine on my end, and the mission is progressing smoothly. I miss you. I miss you. I stared at those 2 words. My feelings too complex to put into words. These 2 words never appeared in his letters in his previous life. Why is this life different? Could it be because my reactions are different from my previous life, thus changing his attitude? I read the letter several times and finally put it away. Whether he's sincere or not, I won't trust him again. A few days later, Director Zhang came to me with some good news. "Ms. Su, the county has decided to commend you," he said excitedly. "You've only been here for 2 months, and you've already improved the children's grades so much. The county leadership is very impressed." "It's the least I could do," I said modestly. "The children were always bright, they just needed proper guidance." "You're too modest." Director Zhang waved his hand. "Other teachers are all praising you, saying your teaching methods are quite advanced. Indeed, I use some teaching concepts from the future, which are quite innovative for this era. By the way, the county is preparing to hold an awards ceremony, and you need to prepare a speech." Director Zhang reminded me. "The awards ceremony is scheduled for next Friday, and all the county leaders will be attending." I prepared my speech carefully, focusing on the significance and personal insights gained from volunteer teaching. On the day of the awards ceremony, the auditorium was packed. The county magistrate presented the award to me personally, praising me as an outstanding youth of the new era. The applause from the audience was thunderous, and I saw Lin Mo sitting in the crowd, clapping for me. Our eyes met, and he gave me an encouraging smile. In that moment, an indescribable feeling of warmth surged within me. It was him who silently supported me when I needed affirmation the most in my life. After the meeting, many people came to congratulate me, but Lin Mo waited until the end to approach. "Congratulations, Teacher Su." He extended his hand. "You're truly remarkable." "Thank you." I shook his hand. "Thank you for coming to my recognition ceremony today. I told you I would support your work," he said earnestly. "What you're doing here is very meaningful, and I admire you greatly." Looking into his sincere eyes, I suddenly felt a strong urge to cry. Gu Jingshan never affirmed me like this in my previous life. Even though I gave up so much waiting for him, he never once said a word of thanks. And Lin Mo, just because I chose to come teach in a remote area, praised me so sincerely. "Captain Lin, thank you." My voice choked slightly. "Your words mean a lot to me." Lin Mo noticed my excitement and said gently, "Teacher Su, you are an excellent person, and you deserve to be cherished, worth cherishing." This sentence is like a beam of light, illuminating the dark corners of my heart. Yes, I am worth cherishing. I shouldn't deny my own worth just because of Gu Jingshan's betrayal. I have my strengths, my talents, and my personal charm. Why should I belittle myself over a man who isn't worth it? That night, I wrote in my diary, December 8, 1978, received a commendation from the county. More importantly, I've begun to recognize my own worth again. Lin Mo said I deserve to be cherished, and I think he's right. In this life, I'm going to be someone who cherishes myself. After finishing my diary, I took out Gu Jingshan's letter. Seeing the two words "I miss you," my heart remained perfectly calm. The next day, I wrote a reply to Gu Jingshan. Jingshan, I received your letter. I'm doing well here, with smooth work and good health. Please take care of yourself and focus on completing your mission. I believe that when we meet again in 3 years, we will both be better versions of ourselves. This letter is written in a very formal, impersonal tone. In my past life, whenever I wrote to him, it was always to pour out my longing and grievances. Looking back now, it seems so pathetic. After mailing the letter, I felt a great sense of relief. I can finally face the past with a sense of peace. Winter is here, and it's especially cold in Xinjiang, but my heart is growing warmer. The children like me more now. My colleagues are very kind to me, and Lin Mo still comes to visit from time to time, bringing heating items or nutritional supplements. Teacher Su, you need to wear more clothes. He always reminds me, don't catch a cold. Once I really caught a cold, and Lin Mo took leave specifically to take care of me. He made me ginger soup, bought medicine, and accompanied me to the clinic. You being here alone is really worrying. He looked at my pale face, his eyes filled with concern. I'm fine, just a common cold, I said weakly. What do you mean you're fine? He was a bit angry. Look at how thin you've become. Haven't you been eating properly? Seeing how worried he was, a wave of warmth washed over me. How long has it been since anyone cared for me like this? In my past life, whenever I was sick, I always had to tough it out alone. Gu Jingshan was never around, and there wasn't a single soul to look after me. But now, Lin Mo has even taken time off work just to take care of me. Thank you, Company Commander Lin, I said sincerely. You've been so good to me. No need for thanks, he said, waving his hand dismissively. Friends look out for each other. It's only right. Friends, he said we were friends. Although I knew his feelings for me went beyond friendship, he never pressured me or forced me to respond. Such a man is truly rare. That night, Lin Mo sat in the chair in my room all night just to take care of me. The next morning when I woke up, I found him asleep on the desk, his neck twisted. Tears welled up in my eyes, betraying my composure. He has been so kind to me, yet I've kept my guard up all this time. Perhaps I should give him a chance, and give myself one too. Spring has arrived, and although it comes late to Xinjiang, it is exceptionally beautiful. I have been living here for half a year and have fully adapted to the local life. The children's grades have improved significantly, and even the mischievous boys have become much more well-behaved. I feel like I have found the meaning of life. Lin Mo still comes to visit me often, but I can sense that he has something on his mind. Once I couldn't help but ask him, Captain Lin, are you troubled by something recently? He paused for a moment, then gave a wry smile and said, You've noticed, huh? You've been distracted these past few days. What's happened? Lin Mo was silent for a moment, then said, I've been ordered to transfer. My heart skipped a beat. Where are you being transferred to? It could be Tibet, or maybe the border of Yunnan. He looked at me. The specifics haven't been decided yet, but I'm definitely leaving here. My heart suddenly felt empty. I've been trying to keep my feelings in check, but Lin Mo's companionship over these past 6 months has truly made me dependent on him. If he leaves, when are you leaving? I tried to keep my voice steady. Next month. So soon? A soldier's duty is to obey orders, he said with a wry smile, but to be honest, I really don't want to leave here. I know it's not this place. He's reluctant to leave, but me. You'll adapt to the new environment, I comforted him. Didn't you say that you can live a great life anywhere? Do you remember what I said? Lin Mo seemed a bit surprised. Of course I remember. I looked at him. You said that the populus diversifolia can thrive in harsh environments, which shows its strong vitality. Yes, he nodded, but now I realize I'm not as strong as I thought. Why? Lin Mo looked at me, his expression inscrutable. Because I can't bear to part with you. He had finally said it. My heart was pounding, but I fought to keep my composure. Company Commander Lin, Professor Su, I know you don't have those kinds of feelings for me. He interrupted me, and I don't want to pressure you. It's just, if I never see you again, I wanted you to at least know how I feel. Looking into his sincere eyes, I felt a wave of indescribable emotion well up inside me. He was truly a good man, so good that I couldn't help but want to cherish him. But was I really ready to start a new relationship? Captain Lin, you don't have to answer me right away. He smiled gently. I just want you to know that there's someone in this world who truly cares for you, who loves you. No matter what decision you make, I will respect it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Lin Mo had said, about how he had taken care of me over the past 6 months, and about the fact that he was about to leave. I realized how much I had come to care about him. If he really leaves, I'll be really reluctant to let go. But does this reluctance count as love? Can I ever believe in love again? The next day was the weekend, and I decided to take a walk in the poplar forest, where Lin Mo and I had our first in-depth conversation. To my surprise, Lin Mo was there too. Teacher Sue, he looked at me in surprise. What brings you here? Just wanted to take a walk. I sat down beside him. And you? I also wanted to come and see. He looked at the distant poplar forest. It might be hard to see such a view again in the future. We sat side by side, neither of us speaking. The spring poplar forest isn't as vibrant as in autumn, but it has a subtle sense of life and hope. Captain Lin, I suddenly spoke up. If I were willing to give it a try with you, would you still leave? Lin Mo turned sharply to look at me, his eyes flashing with disbelief. What did you say? I said, I'm willing to give us a chance. I mustered my courage to look at him. You've been so good to me these past 6 months, and I don't want to lose you. Lin Mo's eyes instantly welled up with tears. Teacher Sue, are you really willing? I am willing, I nodded, but you should know, I might need time to adjust. I've been hurt before. I know. Lin Mo gently held my hand. I won't rush you. We can take it slow. What about your transfer? I'll try to delay or refuse. He said firmly, if I really can't avoid it, I'll apply to be transferred to a place closer to here. Watching him willing to disobey orders for my sake, I felt a mix of emotions. This man's feelings for me are genuine. Could you be jeopardizing your career because of me? I asked worriedly. Being with you is the best future I could hope for, he said earnestly. Teacher Sue, my first half of life was lived for others, for the country, for missions, for responsibilities. Now, I want to live for myself once, to live for love once. His words made me think of myself. Wasn't I the same? In my previous life, I lived for Gu Jingshan, and in this life, I decided to live for myself, and now, I want to try for love one more time. I'm not living for Lin Mo, but for the bond we share. Alright, let's give it a try, I said, squeezing his hand, but I have one condition. What condition? If the day ever comes when you don't love me anymore, you must tell me directly. Don't lie to me. I can't bear to go through the pain of being deceived again. I will never stop loving you, Lin Mo said earnestly, but I promise you, I will never lie to you. From that day on, Lin Mo and I officially became a couple. His transfer request was approved for a 3-month delay by his superiors, citing local operational needs. We all know this is temporary, but at least we have more time together. Lin Mo is very considerate towards me, never doing anything that makes me uncomfortable. He respects my pace and accompanies me as I slowly open up. Sometimes we go for walks in the poplar forest. Sometimes he comes to the school to help with some physical labor, and sometimes we just chat and share our thoughts. I find it effortless and stress-free to be with him, without any calculations, just pure joy. This feeling is something I've never experienced with Gu Jingshan. With Gu Jingshan, I'm always guessing his thoughts and constantly worrying if I'm not good enough. With Lin Mo, I can be my true self. A month later, I received another letter from Gu Jingshan. This letter was much longer than the last one. He described his work and life in detail and asked a lot about me. The last paragraph read, Wan, I miss you more and more. I thought time would dull the longing, but instead, it has grown stronger. I'm beginning to question whether my decision back then was right. If I could choose again, maybe I wouldn't have let you bear the pain of separation alone. When I return, let's talk properly, okay? After reading this letter, I felt absolutely nothing. If I had received such a letter in my previous life, I would have been so excited that I couldn't sleep. Now, I just find it laughable waiting for you to realize my worth. It's too late. I showed the letter to Lin Mo. Is this from your ex-husband? He asked after reading it. I nodded. We got a fake divorce. He went on a mission. He seems to miss you a lot. Lin Mo's expression was complicated. Would you mind? I asked with concern. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Lin Mo answered honestly, but I care more about how you feel. Do you still love him? I shook my head. No, I don't. Then that's all that matters, Lin Mo said softly, pulling me into a gentle embrace. What's past is past. We need to look forward. 7. The 3-month deadline was quickly approaching, and Lin Mo's transfer order was officially issued. He was transferred to the border of Yunnan, thousands of kilometers away from here. I can apply to go with you, I told him after hearing the news. Lin Mo shook his head. The conditions there are even tougher. And your work here is just starting to show promise. You shouldn't give up halfway. But, listen to me, he said, taking my hand. I've already applied for leave with my superiors. I'll get home leave every year to come back and see you. Besides, this transfer isn't permanent. In 2 years, I'll have a chance to be reassigned back here. My heart ached. It had taken so much for me to accept him, and now we had to part again. 2 years is too long, I said. We can write letters. It's much more convenient now than before. Lin Mo comforted me. And maybe I can come back early. Although I felt reluctant, I knew there was no other way. A soldier's duty is to obey orders. I can't let personal feelings affect his future. On the day Lin Mo left, many people came to see him off. He had worked here for 3 years and had built deep friendships with everyone. I stood among the crowd, watching him say goodbye to each person, my emotions too complex to describe. Finally, he came up to me. "Professor Su, thank you for these wonderful months." His eyes welled up with tears. "Wait for me to come back, I'll be waiting." I nodded. "Please take good care of yourself, you too." He reached out as if to hug me, but seeing so many people around, he held back. In the end, the car started, and Lin Mo sat inside, his gaze fixed on me the whole time. I stood there until the car vanished over the horizon. "Ms. Su, they're long gone." Director Zhang came over to console me. "Captain Lin is a good man, he'll be back." I nodded and turned to walk back. My heart felt hollow, as if I had lost something important. That night, I wrote in my diary, June 15, 1979, Lin Mo has left. My feelings are complicated. I miss him terribly, yet I'm genuinely happy for his future. Perhaps this is what growing up means, learning to consider the ones you love, not just yourself. After Lin Mo left, my life settled back into its usual rhythm, but this newfound peace was different from before. It was now tinged with longing and concern. We began corresponding, and his letters were always long, detailing his work and life. I would also tell him about the situation here, the children's progress, the changes in the school, and my feelings. This continued for half a year. At the end of 1979, I received an unexpected message. Director Zhang told me that the county is planning to transfer me to the Regional Education Bureau. This is great news. Director Zhang was excited. The Regional Education Bureau offers a bigger platform than the county, where your talents can be better utilized. But I was hesitant. I'm doing well here. Why should I be transferred? Don't overthink it, Su, Director Zhang explained. It's because your work has been outstanding, and the higher-ups want to give you more responsibility. Plus, I heard your boyfriend is working in the border region. If you move to the regional office, you might be closer to him. Indeed, if I work in the region, I'll be much closer to Lin Mo. But I can't bear to leave these children. Over the past year, I've developed a deep bond with them. I need to think about it. I told Director Zhang, please think it over, but do let me know soon. This is a rare opportunity. That evening, I wrote a letter to Lin Mo, telling him all about it. A week later, I received his reply, Wan, this is a great opportunity, and you should take it. While I'd love to have you closer, what matters most is your growth. You have the talent for bigger things, and shouldn't be confined to a small town. After reading the letter, I felt even more torn. I know Lin Mo has my best interests at heart, but I truly can't bear to leave this place. Then, something happened that changed my mind. There was a boy in my class named Young. He was usually quite mischievous, but his grades were good. One day, he suddenly didn't come to class, so I went to his home to check on him. When I got to his house, I learned that his father had been injured. The medical bills were very high, and the family had no money left to pay for his schooling. Teacher Su, I can't go to school anymore, Young said to me, his eyes red. I have to go herd sheep to earn money. Looking at this 13-year-old child, my heart ached. It would be such a waste for someone so bright not to be able to continue his education. I decided on the spot to sponsor his tuition, but I knew this was only a temporary solution. There are many other children here, like Young, who have dropped out of school due to family hardship. On my own, I can't possibly help that many people. If I were to go to the Regional Education Bureau, I might be able to secure help for more children. With that thought, my mind was made up. The next day, I went to Director Zhang and said, I agree to be transferred to the Regional Education Bureau. Great. Director Zhang was delighted. You've made a wise choice, but I have a request. Please go ahead. I hope to secure more resources for education in this county, especially for supporting disadvantaged students. Well, we can bring this up with the higher-ups. Director Zhang nodded. With you at the Regional Education Bureau, our county's education is sure to improve. In February 1980, I was officially transferred to the Regional Education Bureau. When it was time for me to leave, the entire school, teachers and students alike, came to see me off. The children were crying their eyes out, especially Young, who was the most heartbroken of all. Will you come back to see us, Ms. Su? He asked, his voice choked with sobs. Of course I will, I said, crouching down to hug him, and when I get to my new place, I'll find a way to help more children like you. Really, I nodded earnestly. That's my promise to all of you. On the bus heading out of the region, I looked back at the county town fading into the distance. That was where I spent the most fulfilling year and a half of my life. I found my purpose, met the love of my life, and learned to strive for a greater cause. Now, I am about to embark on a new journey. Upon arriving in the region, I was assigned to work in the Teaching Research Office of the Education Bureau, primarily responsible for teacher training and teaching reform initiatives. The work was demanding, but incredibly rewarding, drawing on the experience I had gained at the county level. I provided recommendations for educational reform across the entire region. Many of these policy suggestions were adopted, including a financial aid program for students in need. 6 months later, Lin Mo came back on leave to see me. Seeing him again, I was so overwhelmed I nearly cried. "You've lost weight," he said, looking at me with concern. "You have too," I said, reaching out to touch his face. "The work at the border must be tough." "Huh, it's okay," he said, taking my hand. "Seeing you again makes all the hardship worth it." We held each other in an embrace, savoring the sweetness of our reunion after so long. Apart. Over the next few days, Lin Mo accompanied me as I showed him my new work environment and the results I had achieved. "You're truly remarkable," he praised sincerely, "to have accomplished so much in just half a year." "That's only right," I said with a smile. "Now that we have this platform, we should make full use of it." "I'm proud of you," he said earnestly. "You found the path that suits you best." 8. Lin Mo's vacation is very short, only 1 week. We cherish every day we spend together, going shopping, watching movies, and talking about our future. "In 1 more year, my assignment at the border will be over," Lin Mo said. "I'll apply for a transfer to work near you then." "Really?" I asked, my heart leaping with joy. "Of course it's true," he said, looking at me earnestly. "Wan, I want to marry you." My heart was racing. "Is it too early to talk about this?" "It's not too early," Lin Mo held my hand. "We've been together for over a year now, and my feelings for you only grow deeper." "But are you still thinking about your ex-husband?" Lin Mo's expression was complicated. I shook my head. "I stopped thinking about him a long time ago." That was the truth. For over a year now, I'd hardly given Gu Jingshan a single thought. Even on the rare occasion he did cross my mind, it felt like something from another lifetime, completely disconnected from who I am now. "Then what are you worried about?" I thought for a moment. "What worries me is, what if something happens in the future?" "What kind of something?" "For instance, what if my ex-husband comes back and wants to reconcile?" Even though I no longer have feelings for Gu Jingshan, given the moral standards of this era, I would likely face immense pressure if he returned and demanded we remarry. Lin Mo was silent for a moment, then said, "If that day ever really comes, what would you choose?" "I would choose you," I answered without hesitation. "It's you I love, not him." "That's enough," Lin Mo said, holding me tightly. "No matter what happens, we'll face it together." After Lin Mo left, I threw myself back into my demanding work. The Regional Education Bureau is implementing a major reform, and I am one of the key leaders. The work is tough, but I enjoy it. Every time I see the reform yielding results and more children receiving better education, I feel all the effort is worthwhile. At the end of 1980, I was recognized as an outstanding educator in the region. At the awards ceremony, I saw many familiar faces in the audience, including Director Zhang from my old county. "Teacher Su, we're all so proud of you," Director Zhang said excitedly. "Look, Young's grades have improved even more, and he's even become class monitor." I was so happy to hear the news about Young. Knowing that the boy who nearly dropped out of school is now able to continue his education makes me feel my work is truly meaningful. After the awards ceremony, I headed back to my office to organize the materials. Just then, I spotted a familiar figure, Gu Jingshan. He was standing at the entrance of the office building in his military uniform, looking around. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. Wan. He walked quickly towards me. My heart was pounding, not from excitement, but from nervousness. I hadn't expected him to appear at this moment. "What are you doing here?" I tried to keep my voice calm. "My mission ended early." He looked at me excitedly. Wan, I'm back for you." There were many people around watching us, and I didn't want to discuss personal matters here. "Come with me." I led him to a quiet place. Wan, I've missed you so much." As soon as we got to a quiet place, Gu Jingshan wanted to hug me. I took a step back, avoiding his embrace. "Don't do that." Gu Jingshan was stunned. Wan, what's wrong?" "Nothing." I looked at him. "Is your mission really over?" "Yes, it ended 6 months early," he said excitedly. "So I came to find you right away. We can get remarried." "Remarried?" I gave a bitter smile. "Gu Jingshan, do you really think we can go back to how things were?" "Why not?" he asked, looking at me with confusion. "We were just taking a break. Now that I'm back, of course we can be together." "Just a temporary separation," I repeated his words. 2.5 years, just a temporary separation for you. Wan, I know you've suffered these years." Gu Jingshan's tone softened. "But it's all for our future. Now that my prospects are better, our life will be happier than before." Hearing these words, a surge of anger welled up in my heart. Did he think I spent these 2.5 years just waiting for him at home? Does he think I don't have a life or ambitions of my own? Gu Jingshan, I need to tell you something, I said, looking at him. I have a boyfriend now. Gu Jingshan's face instantly darkened. What did you say? I said. I have a boyfriend, I repeated. We're planning to get married. Impossible, Gu Jingshan exclaimed, his voice thick with emotion. You're my wife. Ex-wife, I corrected him calmly. We're divorced. Remember, that was just a divorce on paper. It may have been on paper to you, but it was very real to me, I said, meeting his gaze steadily. For the past 2.5 years, I haven't been waiting for you. I built my own life. Gu Jingshan stared at me in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe what he had just heard. Wan, are you joking? His voice trembled. How could you not wait for me? Why not? I retorted. Do you think I'd spend my life in widowhood for a man who abandoned me? I didn't abandon you. Gu Jingshan was frantic. I was on a mission. Oh really? I said with a sarcastic smile. Did you ever think of me when you were on your missions? Of course I did. Then why did you never mention missing me in your letters? I pressed on. Why did you never ask how I was doing? Gu Jingshan opened his mouth as if to argue, but in the end, he said nothing because he knew I was right. In our past life, the letters he wrote me were always just formulaic greetings, never showing any genuine care. Forget it. I waved my hand. Let's not talk about the past. In short, there's no chance for us anymore. No. Gu Jingshan grabbed my arm excitedly. I won't give up. Who is your boyfriend? I want to meet him. I shook off his hand. You have no right to meet him. Of course I have the right. Gu Jingshan's eyes flashed with anger. I'm your husband, ex-husband. I corrected him again. And even if we hadn't divorced, you have no right to interfere in my life. You weren't by my side for 2.5 years, and now you come back wanting to reclaim me. There's no such easy deal in the world. Gu Jingshan was rendered speechless by my words. He probably never imagined that the gentle Suwan would become so tough. You've changed, he said disappointedly. Yes, I've changed. I nodded. I'm no longer that foolish woman who lived only for men. 9. Gu Jingshan wasn't giving up. Over the next few days, he came to the Education Bureau to find me every day. My colleagues were all gossiping, saying that my ex-husband, a military officer, had come back to reconcile with me. I was annoyed, but I couldn't be too harsh with him. After all, in everyone's eyes, he had left me for a national mission. Comrade Su, is that officer really your ex-husband? Directorly asked me privately in the office. Yes, I nodded helplessly. He seems to still care for you deeply. Why don't you two get back together? Matters of the heart are complicated. I didn't want to explain further. Still, I think it would be best for you two to reconcile, Directorly said earnestly. After all, he's an officer with a bright future ahead of him, and he seems like a decent man. That's the mindset of this era. A woman should find a promising man to depend on, but I am no longer a woman of that era. I have my own career, my own aspirations. I don't need to depend on anyone. That afternoon, Gu Jingshan came again. This time, he brought a bouquet of flowers and a box of pastries I used to love. I know I wasn't good enough before, he said sincerely, but now I want to make it up to you. Let's start over. Okay, Jingshan, listen to me, I said, looking at him. I really don't love you anymore. Impossible. He shook his head stubbornly. You loved me so much before. How can you just stop loving me like that? That was then. This is now. I explained patiently. People's feelings can change. Then what's so great about this man you love now? Gu Jingshan asked defiantly. What does he have that I don't? He's better than you in so many ways, I answered without hesitation. He respects me, supports my career, and never makes me feel neglected. I can do all that too. It's too late. I shook my head. You've missed your chance. Gu Jingshan was silent for a long time before finally saying, give me a chance. Let me prove I'm better for you than he is. How would you prove it? Let's make this a fair fight, he said earnestly. I'm not asking you to get back with me right away. But don't rush into marrying him either. Give me 1 year. If after that time you still choose him, I'll walk away for good. I thought it over and decided the proposal was actually quite reasonable. After all, Lin Mo wouldn't be back for over half a year. In the meantime, Gu Jingshan couldn't possibly cause any real trouble. All right, you have a deal. I nodded, but on one condition. What conditions? During this year, you cannot interfere with my work and life, bother me, or cause trouble for my boyfriend. I agree. He probably thought that with his conditions, a year would be enough to win my heart back. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that my heart has long been dead, and even 10 years wouldn't make a difference. Gu Jingshan has been assigned to work in the military district. not too far from here. He did keep his promise and didn't overly bother me, but he often finds various reasons to appear in front of me, like dropping by to see me when passing the education bureau, or bringing some nutritional supplements when he hears I'm sick, or offering to help with any work-related difficulties. He was very attentive and patient. Other women might have been truly touched by him, but for me, none of this matters. My heart belongs only to Lin Mo. Before the Spring Festival in 1981, Lin Mo wrote to say he couldn't come back during the holiday because he had a mission at the border. I was a bit disappointed, but I understood the nature of his work. After hearing the news, Gu Jingshan invited me to spend the new year with him. Wan, it's too quiet for you to spend the new year alone, he said. We can go to my parents' house. They've always wanted to meet you. I shook my head. It wouldn't be right. Why wouldn't it be? You used to come to my place all the time. That was then, I said, looking at him. Things are different between us now. So, what are your plans for the new year? I'll spend it with my colleagues, I said. The Education Bureau has arranged group activities. Gu Jingshan looked disappointed, but he didn't push me. During the Spring Festival, I did indeed have a lively time with my colleagues. We all made dumplings together, watched the Spring Festival gala, and chatted and played cards. I've realized I don't need to rely on a man to be happy. Gu Jingshan came to see me again on the 15th day of the first lunar month. Wan, I need to talk to you, he said. About what? About our future. He looked at me seriously. I've thought a lot these past few months, and I believe we should start over. Gu Jingshan, you promised to give me a year to think about it. I reminded him. I know, and I'm not trying to force you to agree with me, he explained. I just want you to know how I feel. Wan, I truly love you. You love the person I was before, not the person I am now. I looked at him. Now, I have my own career, my own thoughts, and I'm no longer that little woman who only revolves around men. I can accept you as you are now, Gu Jingshan said urgently. I support your work, I support your ideals. Can you really accept it? I asked him. If my work is more important than you, if I neglect you for the sake of work, can you accept that? Gu Jingshan was stunned. Clearly he had never thought about this issue. In his view, a woman's work should always take a back seat to the family. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he said nothing. You see, you can't really accept it, I said with a bitter smile. What you want is the Suwon who used to treat you as her whole world, but that Suwon no longer exists. Gu Jingshan remained silent for a long time before finally asking, Wan, then tell me, what kind of person is your boyfriend? He's someone who truly respects me. I thought of Lin Mo, and a smile involuntarily appeared on my face. He supports my work, understands my pursuits, and never asks me to change myself for him. Seeing the smile on my face, Gu Jingshan's expression twisted in pain. You really do love him, he said. Yes, I nodded. I love him, just as he loves me. Then what about me? You should start a new life. I looked at him. Forget about me and find a woman who truly suits you. Gu Jingshan smiled bitterly. If forgetting were that easy, I wouldn't have come to find you. Time will heal all wounds. I comforted him. Trust me, you'll meet someone better. That night, I wrote in my diary, February 19th, 1981, I had a long talk with Gu Jingshan today. I realized he hasn't truly changed. What he wants is still the old Suwon, the one who revolved her whole world around him. But that Suwon is gone. I have my own life now. Lin Mo, I miss you. When are you coming home? Spring has arrived, and I received a letter from Lin Mo. He said his assignment at the border is nearly finished, and he'll be back by the end of the year at the latest. Reading that news, I jumped for joy. Finally, we're going to be together again. 10. In the fall of 1981, Lin Mo finally returned. When I saw his figure at the train station, tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. Wan. He dropped his luggage and ran towards me with open arms. I ran to him and threw myself into his arms. I missed you so much, I cried into his ear. Me too, he said, holding me tightly, his voice choked with emotion. We hugged for a long time at the train station, drawing the attention of many, but we didn't care. It's been over a year since we last met. We both slimmed down, but we're in great spirits. You become more beautiful, Lin Mo said, looking at me. You become more handsome too, I replied with a smile. The wind and sand at the border have turned me into an old man. What's handsome about that? He touched his face. You're the most handsome man in my eyes, I said earnestly. That evening, we had dinner at a small restaurant and talked about everything that had happened over the past year or so. I've already applied for a transfer to the Regional Military Command, Lin Mo said. That way, we can see each other more often. Really, I was overjoyed. Of course it's true. He held my hand. Wan, I want to marry you. I want to too, I answered without hesitation. when should we have the wedding? You decide, I said with a smile. I'll follow your lead. Just as we were discussing the wedding, the restaurant door opened, and Gu Jingshan walked in. Seeing me with Lin Mo, his face immediately turned grim. Wan, he approached our table. Is this your boyfriend? I nodded. Lin Mo, this is my ex-husband, Gu Jingshan, this is my boyfriend, Lin Mo. Lin Mo stood up and extended his hand. Hello. Gu Jingshan didn't shake his hand but coldly stared at him. I hear you're a soldier. Yes. Lin Mo lowered his hand, his expression still calm. Which unit? What rank? Gu Jingshan began his interrogation. Does any of that matter? Lin Mo retorted. Of course it matters, Gu Jingshan said with an arrogant tone. I need to see if you're even qualified to take care of Wan. Whether I'm qualified or not isn't for you to decide. Lin Mo's tone remained calm, but I could sense his displeasure. Gu Jingshan was about to lose his temper, but noticing the many onlookers, he ultimately held himself back. Gu Jingshan, that's enough. I stood up. We're having dinner. Please don't disturb us. Wan, I need to talk to you. Gu Jingshan looked at me. Alone? It's unnecessary. I shook my head. There's nothing left to discuss between us. But you promised me a year. Gu Jingshan was anxious. It's only been 9 months, and you're already marrying him. Everyone around us is staring and whispering. I feel embarrassed and don't want to argue with him here. Lin Mo, let's go. I pulled Lin Mo, ready to leave. Wan, you can't treat me like this. Gu Jingshan blocked our way. I waited for you for 2.5 years. You can't just change your heart like that. You waited for me for 2.5 years. I sneered. Are you sure you were waiting for me? Or were you just busy with other things? Gu Jingshan's expression changed. What do you mean? You know what I mean. I looked at him. Gu Jingshan, I'm telling you for the last time, I don't love you anymore. It's impossible between us. I don't believe it, Gu Jingshan said excitedly. You used to love me so much. How could you just stop loving me? Because I've seen better people. I glanced at Lin Mo. I know what true love is now. Those words stabbed deep into Gu Jingshan's heart like a knife. He stared at me in shock, as if unable to believe what he had just heard. Let's go. Lin Mo pulled me past Gu Jingshan and toward the door. Stop right there. Gu Jingshan shouted after us. Wan, I won't give up. I didn't look back and left the restaurant with Lin Mo. I'm sorry, I said to Lin Mo after we stepped outside. You had to see that. It's alright. Lin Mo replied with a gentle smile. Any man would lose his head seeing the woman he loves being taken away. Aren't you angry? What is there to be angry about? Lin Mo stopped, looking at me earnestly. Wan, I trust you. I trust your feelings for me. A warm feeling surged in my heart upon hearing this. This is the difference between Lin Mo and Gu Jingshan. Gu Jingshan is always suspicious, always wants to control, always feels that I am his possession. Lin Mo chooses to believe, chooses to respect, chooses to support. Lin Mo, I love you. I tiptoed and kissed his lips. I love you too. He hugged me tightly. Wan, let's get married soon. I don't want anyone to disturb us anymore. I nodded. Okay. The next day, Lin Mo formally proposed to me. He didn't have a diamond ring, just a simple silver band, but to me, it was more precious than any diamond. Wan, I may not be able to give you the best material life, he said, kneeling on one knee and taking my hand, but I can give you my truest love. Will you marry me? Okay. I nodded, tears in my eyes. I will marry you. He slipped the ring onto my finger, then stood up and held me tightly in his arms. From now on, you are my wife, he whispered in my ear. And from now on, you are my husband, I replied. We've decided to have our wedding at the end of the year, locally, without extravagance, and only inviting close friends and colleagues. Gu Jingshan came to see me for the last time after hearing the news. Wan, are you really sure? His eyes were filled with despair. Yes, I've made my decision. I looked at him. Gu Jingshan, I wish you happiness. He gave a bitter smile. My happiness is you. If you're marrying someone else, what happiness do I have left? You'll find your own happiness, I said sincerely. Forget about me and start over. Gu Jingshan remained silent for a long time before he said, Wan, if one day you regret it, remember to tell me. That day will never come, I said firmly, shaking my head. He nodded and turned to leave. Watching his back, I felt no emotion. This man was finally disappearing from my life for good. On December 20th, 1981, I married Lin Mo. The wedding was simple but warm. I wore a plain white dress, and Lin Mo wore a neat military uniform. We didn't have an extravagant banquet, just 2 tables of food at the guest house, inviting our closest friends and colleagues. Director Zhang from the county specially came to attend my wedding and brought well wishes from my former students. Congratulations, Ms. Su, he said happily. The children all miss you and wish you a very happy marriage. looking at the blessing letters written in those childish scrawls, my eyes filled with tears. Those children are one of the most beautiful memories of my life. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. Please thank the children for me. The wedding went off without a hitch. I breathed a sigh of relief when Gu Jingshan didn't show up to cause trouble as Lin Mo and I exchanged rings. I felt a happiness unlike anything I'd ever known. This is the life I want, simple, sincere, and full of love. Comrade Lin Mo, Comrade Su Wan, from this day forward, you are officially husband and wife, the host announced. The groom may now kiss the bride. Lin Mo kissed me tenderly, and the room erupted into warm applause. In that moment, I felt like the happiest woman in the world in this second chance at life. I have finally lived for myself and found the happiness that is truly mine. Married life is very fulfilling. Lin Mo was transferred to the regional military command, and we bought a small house in the area, starting our new life together. He is very considerate, often helps with housework, and never complains about my busy work schedule. I also love him deeply and do my best to take care of him, giving him a warm and loving home. We all have our own careers, but we also consider each other. Sometimes he has to go on a business trip for a mission, and I worry about his safety. Sometimes I have to work late for research and teaching, and he brings me midnight snacks. This is the kind of marriage life I want, supporting, understanding, and loving each other. In the spring of 1982, I found out I was pregnant. When Lin Mo heard the news, he was so excited he nearly jumped for joy. Really, we're going to have a baby? He asked, unable to believe it. Yes, I nodded with a smile. You're going to be a father. Perfect. He picked me up and spun me around. Wan, you make me so happy. Watching his excited expression, my heart was overflowing with happiness. This is my new life. No deception, no betrayal, only sincere love and a bright future. In this second chance at life, I'm finally living for myself. I found my own worth, true love, and I'm about to have my own child. This is the life I want, fulfilling, happy, and meaningful. As for Gu Jingshan, he has completely disappeared from my life. I heard he later married the daughter of a military district commander, which can also be regarded as found his place. I sincerely wish him well and hope he finds happiness. After all, everyone has the right to pursue their own happiness. It's just that my happiness is no longer tied to him. My happiness lies with Lin Mo, in our soon-to-be-born child, and in the educational career I am passionate about. That is enough. Years later, when I look back on this experience of rebirth, I came to understand one truth: the most important thing in life is not to change others, but to change yourself. In my past life, I lived for Gu Jingshan, losing myself in the process. And in the end, all I reaped was pain and despair. I lived for myself this lifetime and found true value and happiness. Rebirth gave me a second chance, but what truly changed my fate was my choice. I chose to let go of hatred, to pursue my own ideals, and to believe in true love, and so I got everything I wanted. I am now an excellent educator, Lin Moshan's beloved wife, and a loving mother to 2 children. My life is fulfilling and meaningful, and every day is wonderful. This is the life I want. Life lived for myself. The end. Story 2. In the 10th year of our marriage, Xiao Wenqing had an affair. He brought the 2 children from that affair to see me. He said the children were pitiful and needed a father. Our daughter pleaded with him desperately, but he remained unmoved. I didn't linger, took my daughter and left, fearing she might be bullied, and I never remarried. Years later, my daughter found a good man. My granddaughter is also adorable, and I take care of her every day, leading a happy and smooth life. On my 60th birthday, my daughter and son-in-law said they were busy with work, and my granddaughter had to attend a last-minute class, so they would make up the celebration the next day. That very night, I came across a local video. In the luxurious private room of the hotel, my daughter's family, Xiao Wenqing, and his 2 children, 6 of them in total, gathered around to sing happy birthday to the woman he had an affair with back then. My daughter also called her Aunt Song. My daughter said my 60th birthday celebration must be a grand affair. I told her not to go to any trouble or expense. She insisted, saying she's seen all the hard work I put in over the years, so the birthday banquet has to be a truly splendid event. My heart swelled with warmth, and I was deeply touched. All these years, I raised my daughter on my own, watching her grow up, get married, and start a family of her own. My son-in-law is very devoted. He takes care of me as if I were his own mother. My granddaughter is adorable too, always calling me grandma in the sweetest voice. I am truly happy. The pain of Xiao Wenqing's betrayal has been slowly healing over these years, so when my daughter brought up the idea of a grand celebration for my birthday, I was truly touched. I also look forward to the day of my 60th birthday. As one grows older, they enjoy, and more than anything, they want to see their children around them, making life feel hopeful. So on that day, I got up early. I quickly tidied up, dropped my granddaughter Chia Chiao off at school, and after my daughter and son-in-law finished the breakfast I left on the table, they each went to work. My daughter said that she and her husband would finish their work in the morning and then come home early to throw me a birthday party. I stayed at home, cleaning while waiting for them, but after waiting for a long time and passing the agreed time, my daughter still hadn't returned. I was just about to call her. Worried something might have happened, my daughter called just then. Mom, something important came up at work unexpectedly, and it's the same for Xiaonan. I can't take leave, so we might not be able to celebrate your birthday today. My daughter's tone was filled with guilt. I feel a bit down, but the kids' careers are more important, so I try to calm myself down. Then I told her, it's okay, work comes first, you focus on your work. I'll pick Xiao up later. By the way, before I could finish, my daughter suddenly spoke up, interrupting me. Mom, since it's your birthday today, don't bother with anything. My friend is passing by the school this afternoon and will pick up Xiao on the way, then bring her to my office. You just stay home and relax. Thinking about how busy my daughter is and how young Xiao is, I couldn't help but say, maybe I should go pick her up instead. You're so busy. And this little girl is at that mischievous age. She might disturb your work. Hearing my words, my daughter seemed a bit anxious and raised her voice quite a bit. Oh, it's on my friend's way. Mom, don't worry about it. Just relax at home. Don't bother about Xiao. I've got a meeting soon, so I'll talk to you later. Okay. The moment she finished speaking, she quickly hung up the phone, not giving me another chance to say a word. Listening to the dial tone on the other end of the line, I couldn't help but sigh. My daughter has been so busy with work lately, she's lost a noticeable amount of weight, so I went back into the kitchen, planning to stew an old hen for her and my son-in-law to help build up their strength. The old hen takes a long time to stew, and the housework is done, so I sat on the sofa, took out my phone, and planned to rest for a while. As you get older, you tend to scroll through videos when you have nothing to do. I opened the video recommendation page and scrolled through several, but there wasn't anything interesting. Just as I was about to exit, I accidentally tapped on the nearby section. At a glance, I recognized the woman's back on the cover. It was my daughter, Wangi. The video was posted half an hour ago. I decisively clicked to open the video. The scene looked like a hotel private room, with my daughter standing in front of the table, her husband holding Xiao beside her, and all three of them smiling. Wangi slightly turned her head, and the camera shifted to the side. Then, I saw Xiao Wenqing. If there's one person I hate the most in my life, it's undoubtedly Xiao Wenqing. We fell in love young, and I thought we were destined for a lifetime of happiness. Then, in our 10th year of marriage, his first love's husband died in a sudden car accident, leaving her alone with their 2 children, a pitiful sight, a widow and her orphans. At first, he secretly supported them behind my back. When I found out, we had a huge fight. His face flushed crimson as he accused me of having a heart of stone. Later, holding his first love's 2 children, he handed me the divorce papers. He said, Xiaoza and Weiwei are both too young to grow up without a father, so he wanted a divorce to be with his first love and become a father to those 2 kids. As he said this, our daughter, Xiaoyi, clung to his leg, sobbing uncontrollably and begging, Daddy, please don't go. Yet, Xiao Wenqing turned and left with such decisiveness I didn't press the matter further. I took the better part of his fortune and left with our daughter. I changed my daughter's surname to mine, Wang. Her name is now Wangi. Fearing that Wangi might be mistreated by a stepfather, I never remarried, devotedly caring for her, watching her grow up little by little, get into college, fall in love, get married, and then have the adorable Xiao. Throughout this process, Xiao Wenqing never appeared. Occasionally, I heard that he and his first love did not have any more children, raising their 2 children as his own, enduring all the hardships without complaint. Wangi once told me that she, like me, hated Xiao Wenqing. I thought that since she had memories from when we divorced, she would remember the pain in my heart and avoid them like a snake, but I never expected that they were still in contact behind the scenes. Not only that, but I saw in the video that Wangi and Xiao Wenqing were standing together. The 2 of them were talking quietly, showing no trace of resentment, even led the group in singing the birthday song. The son-in-law and Xiao clapped along, and the grown-up children joined in, singing the birthday song as well. The woman they surrounded in the middle was Xiao Wenqing's first love, Song Xiaohua. She still exuded charm, wearing a beautiful dress, and lived like a little princess, the center of attention. We share the same birthday, and what's even more absurd, my daughter Wangi, whom I cherish more than life itself, finished singing happy birthday, walked over to Song Xiaohua, and hugged her. She even called her mom Song. I threw my phone on the ground, and the video kept looping. My chest aches, but more than that, I can't believe it. I keep trying to find an excuse for myself. My daughter, who I've raised alone, has witnessed her father's ruthlessness and seen how Song Xiaohua pretends to be an innocent white lotus, saying sorry while stepping into our home and destroying our intact family. So, how could she possibly call that woman Mom? I couldn't believe it. I sat on the couch for a long time until I smelled the awful burning smell from the kitchen. The broth from the old hen had been boiled dry. I quickly turned off the stove, and in my anxious state, I reached directly for the pot, burning a large patch on my fingers. I was just about to deal with the burn. The doorbell rang unexpectedly. When I answered, I saw a delivery person holding a cake. It was a cake I had ordered for myself, just a small one. Getting older makes one prone to melancholy, to feeling the sadness in the changing seasons. So after I finished talking to Wang Yi on the phone, I ordered a small cake online. Celebrating alone is still a celebration. I placed the cake on the coffee table and added a few candles on top. I clasped my hands together, closed my eyes, and began to make a wish. I had already decided on my wish long ago. May my beloved daughter live a life of happiness and smooth sailing. May my son-in-law always love my daughter. And may my adorable Qiao Qiao grow up healthy and intelligent. This was the wish I originally wanted to make, but now, every time I close my eyes, all I see is Wang Yi lying to me about working overtime, only to turn around and take my son-in-law and granddaughter to celebrate Song Xiaohua's birthday. In the video, Song Xiaohua and a group of people surrounded him, and the birthday celebration was so lively, just like a big family. Unlike me now, all alone in the cold and quiet, like a clown, like a joke. A piece of flesh that fell from my body has turned into a sharp knife stabbing at me. Too painful. As one gets older, it's too easy to get sentimental. And tears just won't hold back. Wiping away my tears, I made a new wish. I hope that for the rest of my days, I can live happily and joyfully. That's right, all these years, every wish has been for my children, never once for myself. But now, thinking about it, it really wasn't worth it. I took a couple bites of the cake. It was cloyingly sweet and not the least bit tasty. I glanced at the time again. By now, it was already 11 o'clock at night. Usually by this time, I've finished all the housework, put the kids to bed, and gone to sleep myself. However, I can't sleep tonight. The next moment, there was a sound at the door, and Wang Yi crept in quietly, only to spot me sitting in the living room. As soon as she passed the entrance, she paused for a moment, looking somewhat flustered. Her son-in-law and Qiao Qiao followed behind her, still chattering away about the birthday banquet. The moment they saw me, they fell silent in unison. Qiao Qiao, in particular, pretended as if nothing had happened. Batting her innocent, white eyes, she reached out to me, saying she missed her grandma and wanted a hug. As Qiao Qiao rushed to my side, I didn't pick her up with the same tenderness as before. From the moment this child was born, I poured all my heart into taking care of her, just as I did with Wang Yi. My son-in-law has no parents, and they are both busy with work. In this big city, expenses are already high. That's why I've always taken care of Qiao Qiao, so that my daughter and son-in-law can focus on their work without any worries. Even the little one, just like her mother, betrayed me. As Wang Yi approached me, she seemed to want to pretend that nothing had happened, feigning a stretch and rubbing her shoulder, saying how incredibly busy she was today and promising a grand celebration for me tomorrow. Her gaze fell on the small cake on the coffee table, and she paused for a moment. Mom, did you buy the cake yourself? Maybe the cake was too small, or maybe the birthday cake they got for Song Xiaohua today was too big. Her guilt was even more evident in her eyes. I felt that probing was pointless, so I asked her directly, Wang Yi, where did you go today? She paused, her gaze fixed on my face, as if frantically searching for something, but in the end, she chose to play dumb. Mom, what are you talking about? I was at work today. After saying that, she glanced at Qin Xiangyan and Qin Qiao Qiao. The former quickly nodded in agreement. That's right, Mom, I was swamped at work today. My back's been killing me all day. As for the latter, she imitated her father, shaking her head like a little rattle drum. Grandma, we didn't go out for cake today. We didn't. A child's logic is never very airtight. The more they talk, the more they give themselves away. Wang Yi didn't even have time to reach out and cover her mouth. She could only offer me an awkward smile, her eyes darting about, before opening her mouth to tell a lie. Mom, don't misunderstand. Qiao Qiao couldn't sit still at my company, so I bought her a small cake. Listening to this clumsy lie, I felt very disappointed, so I took out my phone, found that video, and directly put it in front of her. She was stunned, opened her mouth as if to explain something. Finally, I sighed, plopped down beside you, feeling a sense of giving up altogether. Oh, Mom, it's been years. I know you hate Dad, but we are blood related. For you, I've rarely seen him all these years. Isn't that enough? You're not getting any younger. Can't you just let go of that old grudge? Even if you can't, don't drag me into it. All these years, have I ever missed a single one of your birthdays? I've always been there, Aunt Song, she shares the same birthday as you. She'd never say it out loud, but she really hopes the whole family can be together, so I thought, since we all live together anyway, one day is as good as another for a celebration. I figured we could celebrate with her first today, and then make it up to you tomorrow. What's the harm in that? Mom, you're a grown woman, can you please stop acting like this? Seongin and I are exhausted from work every day, things are just easier when I'm with Dad. Look at how you're behaving right now. Could you try to think about me for a change? Hearing my daughter's complaints, my already cold heart grew even colder, so I asked her, are you blaming me for stopping you from reuniting with your father? I looked at Wang Yi, and she didn't resemble Xiao Wenqing at all. Her looks were more like mine, so when we divorced, Xiao Wenqing poured all his paternal love into Song Xiaohua's children, especially her daughter, Yu Shui. The first time I saw her, she was only 6 years old, but her demeanor was a perfect match to Song Xiaohua's. That's why Xiao Wenqing cherished her the most. Back then, Wang Yi was crying hysterically, curled up in my arms, repeatedly asking me, Mommy, why doesn't Daddy want me? Why does he want to be someone else's father? Doesn't he love me anymore? Watching her cry back then, I felt my heart was breaking. It's so tragic that the child I carried for 9 months has ended up with such an irresponsible father, but looking at it now, the whole thing is just a joke. Wang Yi listened to my words and, seemingly unaware of the change in my tone, started acting coquettishly as usual. Mom, that's not what I meant, but think about it, Dad is getting older now. No matter what, I share half his blood. After all these years, shouldn't any lingering resentment have faded by now? And Auntie Song, Auntie, she's actually a good person. Back then, she took Dad away because she was worried about Shuz and Shuwei growing up without a father, but later, she personally apologized to me, bought me gifts, and treated me like her own daughter, even if there were past grievances. You're at this age now, why hold on to those old grudges? Listening to my daughter's complaints, I can only laugh. That father who left without looking back. She hid in countless nights, crying and clinging to me, repeatedly asking why her dad didn't want her, and Song Xiaohua, knowing she was the third party, yet just buying a gift made Wang Yi able to forgive her, so I just pulled my hand away from hers. Wang Yi, so in your opinion, my refusal to forgive Xiao Wenqing and Song Xiaohua is me being unreasonable? The daughter nodded, looking completely justified. That's exactly right. I was young back then, and any grudges I had have long been forgotten. Now, when I close my eyes, all I can remember are the happy moments when Dad was good to me when I was little. Those were such happy times. So, Mom, I hope you can forget too, and we can be a family like we used to. Auntie Song is really nice, and maybe you two could even be sisters. Ah, before she could finish speaking, I slapped her across the face. She let out a scream, jumped to her feet, and shouted at me, covering her face, Mom, why did you hit me for no reason, with your temper? No wonder Dad prefers the gentle and quiet Aunt Song. After saying that, she ran into the room crying, and her husband and Xiao Xiao quickly followed to comfort her. The door wasn't closed, and I could faintly hear their voices, old and senile, remembering trivial matters for a lifetime. A grumpy old lady, so annoying, and there are many more. These are the words spoken by my daughter, whom I have loved for half my life. At this moment, my heart is truly dead, so I stood up, went back to my room to pack my luggage, and then exited the neighborhood group chat on my phone. My daughter and son-in-law have been working hard for years, but the housing prices in the capital are just too high. They still have to pay their mortgage every month. I feel sorry for them, so every month I give them part of my retirement pension and take care of their monthly mortgage payments. I also cover the utilities, daily groceries, and even Xiao Xiao's tutoring classes. Now that I've decided to leave, I naturally won't be providing these funds anymore. Whether they can afford it without my contribution is simply not my concern. Besides, I actually own another property that I haven't told anyone about, not even Wang Yi. Back then, I did it to protect against my son-in-law, fearing he might turn out to be unfaithful like Xiao Wenqing. That's why I put the property in my name, planning to transfer it to my daughter after I passed away. Looking at it now, it seems that was completely unnecessary, and that house would become my future sanctuary. Plus, I'd receive a generous pension every month. Honestly, I could live quite well on my own. When I left the room, Wang Yi was still crying, and the cake remained untouched on the coffee table. Everything was in such a wretched state, so, without a moment's hesitation, I dragged my suitcase and left. By the time I got settled, it was already 3 in the morning. After a shower, I lay down in bed. I checked my phone. There were no missed calls, no unread messages. After all, she's the daughter I raised for over 20 years. Deep down, it still hurts, but maybe the pain is good. It means I won't cling to false hope or try to talk myself into going back. I canceled the alarm I set for every morning, then I turned off the lights, covered myself with a blanket, pushed all those distracting thoughts out of my mind, and closed my eyes to sleep. That night, I didn't sleep well. My mind kept going back and forth, always dreaming of the scenes from the past when I was with Wang Yi back then. Xiao Wenqing was determined to divorce me even though I took the majority of his assets. Our daughter was still so young. The whole ordeal caused her severe psychological trauma. She couldn't even go to school for a time. I had no choice but to quit my job temporarily and stay by her side every day. She could never sleep peacefully. She'd often wake up from nightmares, crying and begging, "Mommy, Daddy, please don't leave me." I held her, singing the lullabies I used to sing to put her to sleep. When she was little, and sat by her side all night, she slept soundly through the night, while I was left with a sore back and aching shoulders, my arms taking hours to recover. Back then, Wang Yi would squeeze my hand tightly whenever she saw me in pain, then she would start massaging my arms. As she massaged, she said, "Mommy, let me rub it for you, it'll make the pain go away." Back then, she was such a good girl. I let out a long sigh, opened my eyes, picked up my phone, and checked the time. Although I had turned off the alarm, but after so many years, my body's internal clock woke me up at the usual time. Usually, I would first go to the kitchen to prepare breakfast, then I would wake Xiao Xiao up. She's young, so she always dawdles in bed for a while. I would coax and carry her, help her wash up, tie her hair into a cute little braid, and then let her have breakfast. After she finishes eating, I'll take her to kindergarten, then I'll go back home, where Wang Yi and Qin Xiang'an will have already finished breakfast and be on their way to work. I'll start washing the dishes and then clean up the house. In short, it's a busy day revolving around this big family. Almost no sense of self at all. Now it's better. After I get up, I only need to make breakfast for myself. After eating, I go downstairs to take a stroll in the neighborhood, stretch my muscles, and enjoy a comfortable and relaxed life. However, before I could finish my walk, Wang Yi called. When she called the first time, I didn't pick up. She called again, second, third. It wasn't until the fifth call that I accidentally answered by mistake. I didn't put it on speaker, but Wang Yi's voice on the other end was still shockingly loud. "Mom, where did you go all night? At your age, you're still acting like a rebellious teenager, running away from home at the drop of a hat. You don't even care about Xiao Xiao. She's going to be late for school. You didn't make breakfast either. Are you going to let us go to work on an empty stomach? Do you know I have a very important meeting that I can't afford to miss?" The constant questioning made it feel like taking care of them was my responsibility. I didn't say anything, but Wang Yi on the other end of the phone just kept talking nonstop. "All I asked was for you to help watch the kids, cook a few meals, and keep the house clean. You've been living a life of leisure here at home while Xian and I have been working ourselves to the bone, day in and day out, for this family, and now you just decide to disappear without a word. Don't you think that's incredibly selfish?" Selfish? I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. This is my own flesh and blood. I devoted my entire life to her, and yet, she never seemed to see my struggles, taking it all for granted. If we're talking about yesterday, I might have still felt a bit sad, a bit reluctant to let go of the years we've spent depending on each other, but from now on, I'm truly disappointed in her. Wang Yi, even though I live in your house, all your mortgage payments and expenses are paid with my money. I've worked hard to take care of this home. If you think this is living the easy life, then you can take over everything from now on. As for me, since you don't like having me as your mother, I don't want you as my daughter either." After saying that, I hung up the phone and ignored her. Still, my mood was a bit affected, so I went upstairs to change into a different outfit, planning to head to the mall for a stroll. All these years, my life has revolved around Wang Yi, her husband, and their daughter. I rarely go to the mall and hardly ever buy clothes for myself. Now, with all those burdens cast aside, my savings and monthly pension are more than enough for me to live comfortably, buying some nice clothes, beautiful bags, and jewelry, and becoming a carefree and independent little old lady. That sounds perfectly fine to me, but I never expected that I would have such a great time shopping so rarely. To my surprise, I ran into Xiao Wenqing at the mall. He and Song Xiaohua were walking side by side, entering a clothing store where we happened to meet face to face. Xiao Wenqing saw me, and his eyes seemed to avoid mine. Song Xiaohua walked up to me with a smug smile playing on her lips, looking just as insufferable as the first time we met. "Wang Ruoshu, you're here shopping for clothes too?" She made no effort to hide her exaggerated grin, her eyes sweeping over me from head to toe before she shook her head and spoke in a tone dripping with false concern. "Just think about it, You're at home all day looking after the kids and doing housework. Even if you buy this pretty dress, when would you ever have the time to wear it? Or perhaps you've got your eye on some old man lately, planning to dress up and see where it goes. It's human nature to love a bit of gossip. She wasn't speaking quietly, so much so that many other customers in the shop couldn't help but glance over. As for this woman, who could now be called an aging mistress, I didn't hold back either. As more and more eyes turned our way, I exclaimed right on cue, "How could I ever compare to you? Freshly widowed, you threw yourself and your 2 children into my husband's arms. With skills like yours, it's no wonder I could never learn the trick in all these years." The people present had weathered many storms and were mostly seasoned. Some things didn't need to be spelled out, they could read between the lines. A customer who had just walked in exclaimed directly, "Oh, so it's the old mistress." Hearing this, Song Xiaohua's face turned red with anger. Xiao Wenqing immediately stepped forward, ready to scold me. "Wang Ruoshu, don't go too far," I laughed, turning to look at that customer. He pointed at Xiao Wenqing. "Look, this is the man who was lured away back then. He abandoned his own daughter without hesitation, all because someone else's child didn't have a father. He rushed to be a father figure, and even now, the child doesn't carry his surname, yet he doesn't seem to care at all. Isn't that just great? The 2 children still bear the surname Yu, and they only address Xiao Wenqing as uncle. This, however, is a pain that Xiao Wenqing has never been able to let go of. Now that I've laid it all out in the open, his face turned even greener, but since everything I said was the truth, he could only glare at me resentfully. The crowd's laughter grew louder, all calling him a big sucker. Song Xiaohua was so furious that she couldn't argue with me. So she prepared to drag Xiao Wenqing away, but as luck would have it, at this time, it was just the end of work hours. Wang Yi appeared in the mall and happened to run into Song Xiaohua. "Auntie Song, what's wrong?" Seeing her pale face, Wang Yi immediately asked anxiously. Song Xiaohua was still fuming just a moment ago, but now, seeing Wang Yi around her, she straightened up instantly and turned to me. "Your mom is still mad at me. It's my fault for asking you to come celebrate my birthday." As she spoke, Song Xiaohua lowered her head, looking utterly crestfallen. Wang Yi looked up at me, perhaps still holding on to her anger from the morning. She unhesitatingly took Song Xiaohua's hand, strode right up to me, and launched into a rebuke. "Mom, do you have to keep throwing a tantrum? Look at Auntie Song. She's gentle and kind-hearted. You're always losing your temper. Any man would know who to choose. What a wonderful daughter I've raised." That remark was a knife, aimed straight for my heart, so I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. It's utterly ironic that a piece of my own flesh and blood should become a dagger aimed at my heart. "Mom, you hit me again." She covered her face, looking utterly shocked. I looked at her coldly, my heart, which would have ached for her before, now gradually turning to anger, then to a calm so profound it felt like the ultimate tranquility after disappointment, making Wang Yi in front of me seem utterly unfamiliar. This unfamiliar child is not my daughter, and I don't want her, so I reached out and pushed her, sending her towards Song Xiaohua and Xiao Wenqing. "Since you prefer them, you can call them Mom and Dad from now on. I don't have that fortune, and I don't want to be your mother anymore." She seemed to laugh out of anger at me. She reached out and linked arms with Song Xiaohua, as if deliberately trying to provoke me, and loudly declared, "If you don't want to be my mom, then fine. I don't want a mom like you who's so emotionally unstable anyway. Auntie Song is so much better. I'm going to their house for dinner today, and we'll be a happy family, unlike you, always dwelling on the past and constantly blaming others." Her movements were so exaggerated that her ID card, tucked in her pocket, fell to the ground. Hearing the noise, I reflexively looked down. The back of the ID card is facing up, and the photo should be the most recent one. The name field reads Xiaoyi, so, my daughter, whom I hold dearest to my heart, secretly changed her surname back to Xiao long before without my knowledge. Xiaoyi also noticed my gaze and still felt a bit guilty. Scratching his nose, he explained defensively, "What's the big deal about a surname? Since ancient times, hasn't it always been passed down from the father? Besides, there are no children on his side to carry on the family name. You might not care as a woman, but we can't just let his lineage die out, can we? Honestly, it's just a last name, is it really worth making such a fuss over?" Xiaoyi grew angrier and angrier as she spoke. Even though I hadn't said a word, she still wore an expression of utter impatience. I stared at that name for a long time. Long ago, she was the one who said she didn't want a father. She said we only had each other, that we were each other's only family. That's why she wanted to take my surname and be called Wang Yi. Now, she is Xiaoyi. This means the last remaining tie between us is gone. I waved my hand dismissively and said calmly, "It's fine, you can take whatever surname you want. It has nothing to do with me. After all, I had truly made up my mind to disown this daughter. 6. On the way back, I blocked Wang, no, Xiaoyi's contact information across the board. I severed all ties completely. I checked my savings, glanced at the retirement pension that had just been deposited this month, and without hesitation, booked a curated small group tour online before packing my bags for a trip. All these years, my heart and soul were devoted to that Xiaoyi, and I never got the chance to see the magnificent landscapes of this country. She used to always say she would take me traveling, once she grew up, after graduation, when she found a job, after getting married, even after having children, and when the kids were older. Yet, I waited time and again, year after year, but that day when she would take me on a trip never came. Fortunately, I can now explore the beautiful landscapes on my own. I saw the mountains and then the sea, and had a great time chatting with people in the same small group. I'll call her Sister May for now. Sister May, like me, devoted her life to her family. Her greatest wish was for her husband and children to take her out to see the world, but this wish was dismissed by them, who accused her of being unreasonable. At your age, you should be at home taking care of the kids. It's shameful to be running around all the time at your age. So, heartbroken, she took her life savings, blocked her entire family, and embarked on a spontaneous trip. We clicked instantly, having gone through similar experiences, so we had a fantastic time the whole way. Right before we said our goodbyes, we even exchanged contact information and made plans for our next trip together. However, for every bit of joy, there's a bit of trouble. In that small tour group, there was an old man a year older than me. His wife had passed away from illness years ago, his children had all grown up and moved on, and he had several grandchildren. His life was quite comfortable, but he said that with no woman in the house, it always felt a bit lonely. When he found out I'd been divorced for some years, his eyes lit up and he said he was willing to make do with me, to team up and share a life together. I wasn't interested and had no intention of entertaining him yet. He ended up chasing me right to my doorstep. I dragged my suitcase home and hadn't even started unpacking when I saw him standing at my door, holding a huge bouquet of red roses. Ruashu, look at us, we're about the same age, you're divorced, and I'm single. Why don't we just team up and live together? I'm quite fond of you, and I'd hand over all my savings to you. You wouldn't have to do much. My kids will take care of their own children. All you'd need to do is look after me, do the laundry and cooking, maybe take a walk with me now and then. If my kids are ever swamped, you could just lend a hand with the grandkids. It'd be a breeze. Listening to him, I took a deep breath. If I were 20 years younger, I'd have grabbed that mop and whacked him over the head, but at my age, I was afraid I'd throw my back out just trying to lift it, so I just called security and had them throw him out. Ruashu, why are you being so heartless? Don't you like me? Even though I'm in my 60s now, I'm still a handsome old man, and you'd be proud to be seen with me. You've been alone all these years, don't you feel lonely? As the security guard pushed him away, he struggled to speak. Finally unable to hold back, I grabbed the trash in my hand and swung it at him. The commotion was so loud that Xiaoyi, who had just entered the community, spotted me immediately. Mom, what are you doing here? She quickly walked towards me. I went on a 3-month trip, and after feeling refreshed both physically and mentally, I even gained a few pounds. Unlike her, she looked extremely haggard and had clearly lost weight. I didn't say anything. She came up to me, pointed at the old man beside me, who was still struggling, as if suddenly realizing something, immediately pointing at me. Mom, how old are you? You still want to find a partner? Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Her eyes full of reproach, she looked absolutely furious, then started hitting the old man with her bag, yelling at him to get lost. While hitting him, she scolded, Mom, are you out of your mind? At your age, any old man interested in you is probably after your money. Don't be so naive and fall for it. After chasing the old man away, she looked at me again and pointed at the neighborhood behind me. So, you've been dodging my calls for ages, renting a place all by yourself and living it up, huh? She seemed to think of something. Visibly upset, she continued, you're living the high life, aren't you? Just washing your hands of everything. Do you have any idea what it's like for me? I'm at home alone, juggling work and taking care of the kids. I'm run off my feet, and all you do is add to my troubles. You don't help with the kids, you don't lift a finger around the house. You just swan off to enjoy yourself and get tangled up with some old man. You're a real prize of a mother. The sarcasm in her words was unmistakable. I looked at her with cold eyes. I told you the last time we met, since you prefer Song Xiaohua, go be her daughter from now on. As for me, I'm not blessed to be your mother, nor do I want to be your mother anymore. And as for that mess at your house, I have no obligation to clean it up for you. Got it? Hearing my words, she seemed to finally snap out of it and realize I was truly resolved, yet she couldn't help but lash out. What do you mean, be my mother? We're connected by blood. I came out of your womb. That makes me your daughter. Just come home already. The house is a complete mess. You were the one paying the mortgage and all the utility bills, and then you just vanished without a trace. Do you have any idea how helpless that left me and Seong-in? We don't make much money to begin with, and we have a child to raise. We haven't been able to save a single penny these past few months, and it's all your fault. Listening to her tirade, I slapped her again. Get out. I was completely disappointed, so I didn't want to hear her anymore and turned to walk inside. She held her face, which had been hit, and stomped her feet in place. Mom, Wang Ruashu, is this all you do every day? I just told the truth. And you hit me. No wonder Dad left you. Those words made me stop in my tracks. I turned around, and she looked at me, raising an eyebrow and smiling. Knowing I was about to back down, I threw another bag of trash I hadn't thrown away directly at her head. Xiaoyi, when Xiaoenking wanted a divorce with me, it was because he was blind and a jerk. Between him and me, it was just that piece of paper, and once it was gone, we were nothing. But you're different, you share blood with him, yet he still chose to abandon you for a child that has no blood relation to him. In the end, who's the real clown here? You know it in your heart. Perhaps in the past, I never imagined that one day, I would be stabbing each other in the back with the very flesh that came from my own body. But if it has to be done, then so be it. Just a piece of flesh that fell off. Treat it as a rotten piece of meat, and only by removing it can it heal. No one clings to rotten flesh, because it's not worth it. Xiaoyi, it's not worth it. I turned to leave once more, her face flushed with anger. And just as she was about to follow and say something, the phone suddenly rang. She answered it, and a moment later gasped, "What? The house is on fire." Immediately, she hurried back the way she came. The woman who had come with him also started running out. As she ran, she called out, "Miss Xiao, are we still viewing the house today?" Qin Xiong'an's parents passed away early, so after he married Xiaoyi and they had a child, I moved in with them, taking care of the child while also looking after their daily lives. As a result, I lived in that community for many years and made quite a few friends, especially Sister Lin, who is the most avid listener of gossip in the neighborhood. Whenever anything newsworthy happens in the neighborhood, she's always the first to know and promptly shares it with us. Her old circle of friends take the fire at Xiaoyi's house this time. Within half an hour, Sister Lin's video call came through. We've always gotten along pretty well even after I moved away. She still checks in regularly, always telling me not to hesitate to ask if I ever need a hand. So, of course I answered her video call. The moment the call connected, I saw her face lit up with excitement, her camera aimed at Xiaoyi's house window. "Ruashu, that wretched daughter of yours is in for it now." She chuckled and then proceeded to tell me everything that had happened over the past few months. Back then, I signed up for a package tour. Xiaoyi couldn't find me and, after I slapped her several times, she grew resentful and kept in constant contact with Song Xiaohua. Both of Song Xiaohua's children are still unmarried. Yushiz is a good-for-nothing. He never liked studying before, and now he can't be bothered to hold down a job, just loafing around at home all day. As for Yu Shuwei, she had no desire to work either. All she thought about was marrying into money. Seeing that Xiaoyi had bought a large house, Song Xiaohua figured their family was doing quite well for themselves, even with the mortgage payments, so she foisted her two children onto Xiaoyi. She justified it by saying that since they were family, they should spend more time together. The pair of siblings had no shame. They showed up at Xiaoyi's house the very next day, arriving empty-handed each time only to leave laden with armfuls of stuff. Yushiz had even invited a bunch of his unsavory friends over to his place for a party. They made a complete mess of the place. Qin Xiong'an was furious. Even after he had a big argument with Xiaoyi, Yusha still carried on exactly as before, this time, sneaking someone over again. They ended up drinking too much. One of them lay on the couch smoking, with half a bottle of baijiu nearby, only to be kicked over by someone. The cigarette ash ignited the sofa fabric, and combined with the baijiu on the floor, it directly set the house on fire. Just as Qin Xiong'an returned home, he saw thick smoke billowing from his own window. Yusha finally ran downstairs and, seeing Qin Xiong'an, who had just gotten off work, started cursing right away. They accused his house of being unsafe, almost causing his death, and demanded he pay compensation. Qin Xiong'an was furious and immediately got into a fight with him. A crowd tried to break it up, but they couldn't separate them. When Xiaoyi rushed back, Yushiz and Qin Xiong'an suddenly stopped fighting and both turned their anger on Xiaoyi, berating her harshly. In the end, after this chaotic incident, the house naturally couldn't be lived in for the time being. Xiaoyi had originally planned to stay at Xiao Wenqing's place for a while, but they were told straight up that there was no room, and they were sent to a hotel. Not even given a shred of face, a group of people sat downstairs in the residential complex, munching on sunflower seeds and watching the drama unfold. Sister Lynn directly pointed the camera at them, giving me a live broadcast. At the end, Sister Lynn said to me, "Every villain meets their match, don't go soft on her, a daughter like that isn't worth your pity." I nodded. I truly didn't feel an ounce of pity, having been utterly disappointed to the core watching them on the video, still endlessly bickering and making a scene. I just found it somewhat ridiculous. Family bonds, in that moment, became profoundly ironic. In the end, Xiaoyi emerged victorious from this whole farce. She moved her entire family there, as if to prove her choice was the right one. Little did she know, that very decision would be her complete undoing. As for me, after that video call with Sister Ling, I pretty much stopped paying attention to Xiaoyi's affairs. I've picked up a new hobby recently, handcrafting ceramics. Going to a studio to shape all sorts of cute little trinkets is really relaxing. I ended up going for several days in a row, and wouldn't you know it, right next to the pottery studio was a hotel. I had just left the pottery workshop with my fired ceramics when I spotted Xiaoyi right at the hotel entrance, and there, standing before them, were Qin Xiangyan and Yu Shuwei, their clothes in disarray. "Qin Xiangyan, we've been married for 7 years, I even gave you a lovely daughter. How could you cheat on me with Yu Shuwei behind my back?" She was screaming her heart out. Xiao Qiao, who she was holding by the hand, looked rather frightened. Yu Shuwei hadn't even bothered to straighten her clothes. Over the years, she had cycled through numerous boyfriends and had developed a remarkably thick skin, even with a room full of eyes fixed on her. She didn't feel the slightest bit of shame. She even went so far as to lean right into Qin Xiangyan's arms in front of everyone. "Xiaoyi, look at you now, just a frumpy housewife, with no one to help you with the kid. You had to quit your job to stay home. You don't even bother to take care of yourself anymore. How could Brother Xiangyan not get sick of looking at that face of yours every single day?" Having said that, she then shot a flirtatious glance at Qin Xiangyan beside her. "Brother Xiangyan, tell me, do you like this old woman more, or do you like me more?" Yu Shuwei was charming and, more importantly, a fresh face. Having argued constantly with Xiaoyi for days, Qin Xiangyan already felt a rift between them. Now, caught red-handed, he felt not an ounce of guilt and spoke bluntly. "Xiaoyi, what's all the fuss about? Instead of staying home and minding the child, what are you doing running around outside? What man doesn't stray? Let's not look far, just take your own father. Didn't he abandon your mother back then and run off with another woman? And didn't you forgive him anyway, even calling that woman mom? If you could accept it back then, why can't you accept it now?" Hearing Qin Xiangyan's words, her eyes widened in an instant, and she began shaking her head repeatedly. "Xiangyan, Qin Xiangyan, how could you say that? How could you possibly say that?" She seemed on the verge of a breakdown, reaching out as if to strike Qin Xiangyan. Qin Xiangyan shoved her aside, shielding Yu Shuwei in his arms, and looked down at her with contempt, as if she were a clown. "Xiaoyi, let's not beat around the bush anymore. Do you really think your father cares about you? If it weren't for the house I worked so hard to buy, would he even be trying to get back in touch with you? He just wants to squeeze some money out of you, to pad the bank accounts for you Shiz and Shuwei, and here you are, rushing right into his arms. Are you that desperate for affection? But I suppose you did one good thing. Shuwei is much more appreciative and interesting than you ever were. Let's get a divorce. I don't want the child, you take them, we'll split the money 50-50, now get out. Since you seem to accept what happened to your mother, I assume you won't have the nerve to keep clinging to me, right?" With each word, it struck Xiaoyi's heart, driving her increasingly hysterical and inconsolable. Yu Shuwei remained calm as ever, casually flicking her hair, then bending down to look at Qin Xiaoqiao standing in front of her. "Sweetie, do you think your mom is emotionally unstable? She's making a huge fuss over such a small thing." Xiaoyi's eyes widened instantly upon hearing Yu Shuwei's words. "Get out, you're not allowed to do anything to my daughter." She quickly grabbed Qin Xiaoqiao. The child's arm was too delicate, and the force she used was too great, causing Qin Xiaoqiao to cry immediately. Sobbing, she reached out to hit Xiaoyi. "You're a bad mom, I don't want you." "Qin Xiaoqiao, I am your mother, I gave birth to you and raised you. How can you say such things?" A pained expression crossed Xiaoyi's face as she raised her hand to strike the child. Qin Xiaoqiao immediately bit down on her wrist, making her flinch in pain, then buried her head in Yu Shuwei's embrace before turning to glare angrily at Xiaoyi. "You're such a bad mom, always yelling at me. I like my aunt. I want her to be my mom." Hearing this, Xiaoyi's eyes widened instantly. She seemed about to say something, but her gaze suddenly met mine in the crowd. In that moment, Her eyes were filled with a complex mix of emotions, full of mockery. Perhaps it was at this moment that she finally realized, the very words she once said to me had now come full circle, striking her right between the eyes. After following this whole cheating scandal drama all day, Sister Lynn sent me dozens of 60-second voice messages. They were, without exception, just a rundown of everything I had witnessed today. After their home burned down, the family of 3 moved in with Xiao Wenqing. The couple already had some underlying tension between them, and they argued constantly every day. On top of that, with me gone, someone had to take care of Qin Xiaoqiao going to and from school. In the end, Xiaoyi quit her job to focus on raising the child at home. Yu Shuwei then set her sights on Qin Xiang'an's money-making abilities. After a few encounters and some deliberate seduction, the two of them ended up getting involved. Xiao Wenqing and Song Xiaohua were aware of it, and even helped cover for them. Even Qin Xiaoqiao had stumbled upon it a few times, but a single lollipop was enough to buy her silence. In the end, the whole farce culminated in this. Xiaoyi, who knew the whole truth, was driven out of the house by the entire family. Even her darling Qin Xiaoqiao threw a tearful tantrum, refusing to go with her, before turning and throwing herself into Yu Shuwei's arms, calling her mom. As I was walking back to the residential complex, I happened to see Xiaoyi right at the entrance. She crouched in the corner, and when she saw me, she reached out and tugged at my skirt like a pitiful stray kitten, her voice pleading pitifully, "Mommy, I was wrong, can you forgive me?" I looked at her, my daughter in a sense, the one closest to me. If it were before, my heart would ache to the point of bleeding, and I would grab a knife and rush into Xiao Wenqing's house. Even if it cost my life, I would avenge my daughter. But all that has happened has made me realize that perhaps her current fate is her just deserts. So watching her tears fall, I feel absolutely nothing now. It's like a stranger shedding a couple of worthless tears, trying to make me forgive her with this tactic, and then smoothly moving into my home, continuing to live as before, with her hands never touching any labor, waiting for me to cherish her as my precious treasure. But why should I? She might have been my treasure once, but not anymore. So I shook off her hand, my heart utterly calm, and said in a level voice, "You're mistaken, I'm not your mother. I did have a daughter once, but in my heart, she died long ago. As for you, go back to wherever you came from, don't show your face here again, or I won't hesitate to call security. Is that clear?" With that, I turned and walked straight home, ignoring her desperate, wailing cries. Xiaoyi came looking for me a few more times. I refused to see her. I had already made up my mind to disown this daughter. She must have gotten the message by now. My resolve was absolute. Later, she never appeared again, and I still go for walks, make pottery, or buy a few beautiful dresses at the mall every day. Life, I need to enjoy it to the fullest now. The next time I heard about her was half a month later. Xiaoyi was traumatized as a child and had some mental issues. It was only through my daily companionship that she regained her cheerful and lively nature. Now, she has been abandoned by everyone. Even her daughter, whom she cherished as her life, has turned her away using the excuse of wanting to leave her home. She gathered the entire family together, claiming it was for one last. After the meal, she plans to leave alone for another city and never return. And that meal, she had prepared it with her own hands. And the ambulance, it arrived that very night. Xiaoyi bought a lot of rat poison, paraquat, and all sorts of other toxic substances available on the market. She mixed them all together and put them into the dishes. Seizing the moment as the poison took effect, she sealed the windows and doors and turned on the gas. By the time they were discovered, everyone was foaming at the mouth, lying unconscious on the floor. With everything combined, even though they hadn't consumed much, the discovery came too late. The entire family failed to survive the night. Even 6-year-old Qin Xiaoqiao lost her life as a result. This news even made it to the national trending topics, and everyone dug up their past. It's known that Xiao Wenqing is a complete jerk. It's known that Song Xiaohua was a mistress who climbed her way to the top. It's known that Yu Shiz is a troublemaker who loves to fight and flirt with girls, to the point of being utterly disgusting. Everyone knows Yu Shuwei has a habit of stealing other people's boyfriends, just like her mother. Everyone knows Qin Xiang'an is also a scumbag, despised by all. Everyone knows Qin Xiaoqiao, despite her young age, has a chilling coldness in her bones that's just as frightening. Everyone knows Xiaoyi, blind and foolish, ultimately reaped what she sowed. The whole country knows about these people. They're utterly disgusting, and everyone feels like spitting on them. As for me, I also breathe